into the Theist Helpline at www.theisthelpline.com. Our friendly and helpful hosts. Sorry, it was Halloween recently. I'm thinking ghosts for some reason. Hope you all had a good Halloween. Our helpful and friendly hosts of the Theist Helpline in alphabetical order are Amy Newman, who is known for her trademark slogan, Sending Love, is a professional comedian and skeptic who hosts debates, interviews, and conversations on her YouTube channel. She also creates educational and other important content. IX is a Tom Unboxes subscriber and former atheist community of Discord admin who enjoys long walks through evolutionary biology-inspired computer science, archaeological, academical, biblical criticism, and so on. Jack Burton, it's all in the reflexes, is a self-described middle-aged, college-educated nobody who drives the Pork Chop Express in his spare time. He's a deist and is mostly non-committal to philosophical stances. Jefferson Spatchcock is an atheist inquisitor and intellectual who has particular expertise in thoroughly analyzing and reviewing debates, often from the comfort of his genuine lazy-boy chair. Dale Warren is an atheist activist, educator, and entertainer. He runs the Bridge the Divide YouTube channel, where he addresses irrational beliefs, the irrational behaviors that often follow, the societal divides they create, and how those divides can be bridged with education, rationality, and reason. Mubarak Abu Sharifa is an ex-Muslim who grew up in Saudi Arabia with knowledge of Islam and world history. He's also a co-host on Peter de Tucker's YouTube show. Peter de Tucker is an atheist epistemologist from the Netherlands. Inspired by Aaron Ross, Seth Anders, Anthony Magnabosco, and others, he started a YouTube channel that mainly focuses on religion, but he also hosts shows on other topics, including interviews with other content creators and atheists he meets through social media, etc. I'm Randolph Richardson. I'm an atheist activist from British Columbia, Canada. I'm an advocate for the equality and normalization of people who don't believe in deities, which entails advocating for fair justice, freedom, and critical thinking. I'm also the founding president of the Canadian Atheists, a national organization that promotes atheism and agnosticism as culturally common aspects of Canadian society. Taco, the visionary organizer of the Theist Helpline, is a #1 Discord debater who has never lost a Discord debate in his life. T-Jump, Tom Jump, is the founder of an atheist church called the Church of the Best Possible World, which is based on his model of objective morality. It has the goal of doing what Abrahamic churches should be doing but are not, helping people by providing affordable housing. If you would like links to these to the websites and more information about our hosts, please take a look at www.theisthelpline.com and click on the About section. That will tell you, that'll give you a list of all of these, and you can even find a link to Tom Jump's church website in there. We also have a special thank you for our sponsors. The Politics Discord at discord.gg/politics. But it looks like they have a politics.gg website now. I'm going to have to get some updates here on that. And there's also the Canadian Atheists at www.canadianatheists.ca that sponsors the website. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in today. And before we get started, just wanted to find out if we had any quick words from our hosts before we begin. Thank you.
Thank everyone.
Go ahead, Tom.
Sounds like everyone's ready to get started.
Exactly. I know today is the day. Randolph, Taco, T-Jump.
We're all going to become theists.
Exactly.
I'm not sure if I love Amy's optimism or if I have some trepidations about it. Hello, Mogildos. How are you today?
Your microphone is muted. You might want to click on mute.
And you're not server muted. It's all on you this time.
Hey, what's up?
Not too much. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
So, do you believe in a god?
Why wouldn't I?
Because we generally have good reasons for our beliefs. And so, do you have a good reason for why you believe in a God?
Before I get into the good reasons for why I believe in God, what are the good reasons against God existing?
So,
Okay, so you're trying to put a burden of proof on us here. We're actually inviting people to provide us a convincing argument for why a goddess or a god or multiple deities exist. Some of us, like myself, I don't actually have really anything against like I don't actually say there absolutely are no deities. Now there are certain deities I can discount, like Allah, the god of Islam, or Yahweh, the god of Christianity, because of certain paradoxes that go along with those deities, such as omniscience and omnipotence. There are other reasons to discount certain deities. So when I've examined those ones, yeah, I'm finding them not convincing. But what can you tell us about the goddess or the god? I guess Amy already established with you a god. Maybe you can tell us a bit about the one that you believe in.
Yeah, so you said that there are certain paradoxes regarding the
well,
law, for example. I would say that's disagreeable, but I think you said something else which I'm trying to retain. I'm trying to remember what you said.
well, can I just ask you, Mog? Does
You said a
everything,
whole bunch of stuff. What were you saying?
Mog, does everything that exists have a cause?
No, I don't believe every single thing has a cause.
It doesn't. Can
Like, for
okay,
example, the first cause isn't going to have a cause, obviously, and the first cause is a thing. So,
okay. So you believe in a God for first cause reasons.
yeah, what's the problem?
There we go. We're getting closer. Is there a specific
All
type of
right, I
God
get
you
it.
believe for first
I
cause
remember what
reasons?
he said. Wait, hold on. My bad. My apologies for interrupting you. I remember that what I was going to ask the other guy who was speaking was, what does he mean by convincing arguments? Because obviously someone can present a logically sound argument, which is not convincing to the skeptic. So to ask for a convincing argument, is it really going to meet the metric for good evidence to
I think
me?
a sound argument would convince everyone here, or most likely
I
convince
think there's
everyone
sound
here.
arguments which don't convince people, of course. There are people who
Yeah,
disagree with sound arguments,
probably not. No,
oppositions with which has sound arguments.
So present
it's
one.
possible, but probably not. Right?
Any rational person will believe a sound argument. Present a sound argument and we'll believe it. You don't have one.
What do you mean by a rational person?
A rational person is someone who follows the logic. So give us an argument.
Someone can follow the logic, but is
Give us an
unaware of an
argument.
argument being
Give us
sound
the
because
argument.
they're.
Give us the argument.
So you're just pressing me into giving an argument because you don't want to answer my
Give
questions. Okay.
the arguments. If you don't have any, we'll just kick you off the
Okay, I
stage and
got
move
you.
to somebody else.
So-
Okay? Arguments, evidence,
so,
or stop
anyways.
wasting our time.
Why do you try to like play this rhetorical shtick?
This isn't rhetorical. This is trying to get you to get to the point. Give us an argument or evidence or go away.
Well, I was getting to the point that you guys were mentioning, and you keep on dodging by saying,
Stop
"Give me an
wasting our
argument," but
time.
whatever.
Last warning.
Sure. So, what about what's you guys' issues with the Neoplatonic argument?
Well, don't believe Platonic objects exist. There's no evidence they exist. The consensus is they don't exist. So what's
That's
the
not what I said.
argument?
You're not tracking. I never mentioned the existence of Platonic objects. You're not tracking.
What's
But
the
Mog,
argument?
yeah, that's
I
what I
said
really
I said the
want.
Neoplatonic argument.
Say the argument, not the name of the argument. Give the premises, dumbass.
So you don't know the arguments, cool. So the premises is just going to be based on the fact that for all things which are ontologically composite, there has to be something which is ontologically simple to ground the existence of these things, and that being would be God.
That's not the Neoplatonic argument. You are a dumbass.
Of course it is.
It is not. Neoplatonic argument is arguing
It's
for a
the
version of
argument that
Platonism.
Plotinus mentioned in the Aeneas. You're
No,
wrong. Sorry.
You are wrong.
Read a
So
book.
Neoplatonic arguments are arguing for a Platonic object. So you
You're
being
trolling
an
me,
idiot,
right?
You being an idiot is the problem.
So you meant
What
you make
you
an
were
idiotic
arguing
comment,
for
which
is an
ignorant, and
argument
then you call me an
for
idiot.
no, you are an idiot. So what you're arguing for is actually an argument for a necessary being, which has nothing to do with Neoplatonism.
No. Ibn Sina, for example, an Islamic Neoplatonist, does not argue for Platonic objects in his argument for God's existence. What are you talking about?
That's exactly what you're
Plotinus,
doing.
for example, in the Aeneas. What? What are you talking about?
That's exactly what
You
you're
don't
doing.
even know what the Neoplatonic argument is.
You just stated it, and it's wrong.
The Neoplatonic argument aims to derive the one, which is ontologically simple, from knowing the many.
Yes, that's
Dummy.
the Platonic object.
Like, what are you
There is
talking
no
about?
one. There is no argument there. You're a dumbass.
Do you know what the Platonic object is?
Yes, I do.
What is a Platonic object?
Goodbye. Next.
But also, can I just point out how they never want to defend their own, like what they actually believe, because they know he said it somewhere in there. He's like, "You're not going to believe it because of my reasons."
What's up, guys?
Hey,
I'm a Christian. I thought I'd give it a shot.
Well, good morning. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, I think I'm not like the most termed person, so I'll do my best. I just think it's more reasonable to believe that a god or a theistic being created the universe. And the reason being is because if we go back to a singularity, or we just go back to the Big Bang, space, matter, and time, whatever created space, matter, and time can't be made of it. So a timeless, spaceless, powerful, immaterial cause, and I think that would be God. Obviously,
Okay.
it's not the Christian God at this point, but a theistic God at least.
So why are you adamant that it must be just one creator and not, say, multiple creators that work together, that were equal in stature and power and knowledge and all that?
I can say that it's reasonable to suggest that'd be the case as well, but that's why we have to go more deeper, to figure out.
Well, I have to say, I think the fact that you're undecided on this, I think that's a fair answer. You're so far one of the very few Christians, actually, among theists, who are willing to entertain that idea, and I appreciate that very much. So, when you're talking about timeless and spaceless, I perhaps it would help if you could explain what you mean by that, because the first thing that a lot of people will understand that as is meaning that leads to non-existence. So, because if you're not participating in time and space, like what's the point? You're not existing as part of reality. You're nowhere in the cosmos. But perhaps you would like to clarify what you mean by timeless and spaceless in case there's a misunderstanding here.
Yeah, of course. So, when we think of timelessness being um, is not subject to limitations of time. It does not have past or present or future. Instead, it exists as an eternal state, where all moments are simultaneous. I would say that this is what I would call existing outside of time. Spacelessness, I would say a spaceless being is not confined to any physical location or dimension. In the way that we are, it's not limited to a specific place in the cosmos. It exists beyond physical space. And I would say the reason for describing the first cause as timeless and spaceless, in the cosmological argument, is to pretty much just emphasize that it's not bound by their natural laws and it exists transcendent. Hopefully that answers a little bit.
Yeah, that does help. So I think perhaps timeless and spaceless would be terminology that would be best avoided in these things. What could we use for alternative terminology that would make it clearer? Further explanation wouldn't be necessary. So impervious to the effects of time and not bound by the natural limits of space. Would you say that that would be a fair way to describe what you said?
Sure. I mean, I guess another one too could be like beyond temporal constraints or transcending spatial boundaries. I mean, hopefully. But yeah, I agree. That could be used maybe.
Okay, so I think that's quite good what you've established here. So thank you for putting the time and effort into this. We do appreciate it. So why do you think that the universe must have been created by one or more gods and goddesses? And how is it that must be the default that everybody considers and accepts? Like a lot, like myself, my position is I don't know how it started, and I don't really defer to a default because I'm just at the I don't know stage. Are you thinking like someone like myself should actually have a thought on this, have an opinion on this?
I think you're already putting your opinion on it, but let me unpack your question there. So, I do appreciate the question, the thoughtful question. So, the idea that the universe must have been created by one or more gods and goddesses. Um, I think the reason being for this is um, I can't fully address it because there's always that point to where we assume, when we get all the way down to like the most metaphysical or ontological aspects, right? We're all holding assumptions at the end of the day. I just think that it just ends up being just a little bit more consistent with my worldview is all. Because then there's things like morality and whatnot. But I can't give like a definitive answer to it. It's very complex, I'd say, but ultimately we do hold assumptions and it does come down to faith. I just think that Jesus Christ is just a bet I put on. So that's just
You find Jesus Christ and Christianity to be the most convincing. Um, would you be willing to try to identify why they're more convincing than other religions, or have you not considered other religions?
And Randolph, when you guys are done, just tell me. I just want to ask him a few questions.
Sure, interject after he answers. My question will be great. Fine.
so I mean, when we look at like the other like the major religions of the world, we look at like Hinduism or Buddhism. In the Veda text, in the Veda scriptures, it says the truth's elusive and mysterious, and that's hard to find. And I'd say first, we can define what truth means. I would define it as that which conforms, to the mind of God, because if we just say that which conforms to reality, I can say like, I mean, whose reality, yours or mine? But anyway, my bad. So when we look at the Veda text, it says truth's hidden from us, and then we look at Muhammad. He says the truth. He pointed to the truth, but Jesus had said that he is the truth, and so now we have a definitive test. We can say, well, if Jesus, we have to see if Jesus Christ was lying or not. Which way can we do this? And I'd say the most plausible way to do it was to answer the question: is the New Testament reliable enough to show that Jesus rose from the dead? And I'd say that among the common arguments, right, the arguments like the empty tomb, or the Yeshua was alive, or that there was the crucifixion. I'd say that we got to look at the motives of the men back then. I just don't see how they had motive for it. And I know this might be ambulative arguments, but I just don't see how they had motives when they thought they're already God's chosen people to fake a resurrection. But not to monologue. That's what I got for that.
Go ahead, Amy. I think you have some things you wanted to ask him about.
Thank you. Thank you, Randolph, for the question, and Tim for just being so honest about what you believe. You talked about how it was a timeless and cosmological God. I am interested in that, though I think that that's rarely why we believe what we believe. And so I guess I want to go over our epistemology, because rarely are natural events a whom or a who. It's more often a what. It's not that we we actually make the rain fall because we please the gods. It's because we understand the water cycle. And so I want to really touch on this defined truth thing, because that, I think, gets to the heart of everything. You said it can't be that truth conforms to reality, because then it would be based on a mind, right?
hmm So the way I see it is that there's a subjective reality, objective reality, and absolute reality, just like there would be like subjective truth, objective truth, and absolute truth. And the difference would be that your subjective reality or truth would be your own, you. I think that we exist as a soul within a body that has a spirit, and that the objective reality or objective truth would be independent of that, and that the absolute truth or reality would be transcendent of everything. And I'd say that I guess the absolute reality or truth and the objective you could kind of like, I guess, interchange, but there's a fine line. That's how I would classify it. Some sort of like ontological classification, I guess.
So I could kind of understand or maybe give my own version of that, but instead, I want to know why you think reality conforms to the mind of a god.
Okay.
Or truth, should I say.
Yeah. The most definitive reason I could suggest would be that when God speaks, it is correct, it's true, and that, if everything stems from Him, then it must be true. Because if He really is the uncaused first cause, then everything, I mean, it must be the case that He is the ultimate reality.
But is that because they're a creator or because they have omnis or
I'd say that it's just probably the creator, just because they created everything and there was nothing before or above them.
so I analogies always break down at a certain level, but if we're talking about creator, do you still see parents in the same light?
Well, sure, yeah. I mean, as a matter of fact, we can look at it as the Trinity. God the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit.
Well, it
I
just mean more if a mom and dad gives birth to children, they basically should be able to do whatever they want with the child because they created them.
essentially,
I think that could lead to horrible, horrible things.
yeah, I could.
Do you know what divine command theory is?
Yeah, I'm familiar. I mean, it's ultimately God is what He says goes. I just think I just don't really hold to God being totally arbitrary or just arbitrary. I think there's consistency on.
See, but I could poke some of that consistency, I think, and you would just, I assume, and maybe I'm, making an ass out of you and me, but you would just say that it's God's 4D chess. Like, what are your thoughts on Noah?
On Noah, okay, so yeah, I think that God ultimately would be a just God, and so a little analogy would be like, well, I mean, would God allow murder to walk free? I don't think so. And so in the same way, He did show a little mercy instead of wiping out everyone. I know that it's
He
probably
left eight
something that,
people?
yeah, He left a few people, and I understand that, like, from your worldview, that you could see you couldn't see why God would, destroy an entire planet full of people, but I look at it as,
Tim,
as this thing being the moral law and people
Tim,
disobeying.
if I gave
What's
you
it?
another story, and it started out, everything was fine until a storm came by, and it turned out there was this one guy dictating the storm. And he said, listen, I am going to mass murder the entire planet. But don't worry, I'm leaving the eight of you. Is that dude a good or a bad guy?
I'm not. I'm gonna have to say that there's a little bit of a misrepresentation on that one because I'd say like there's more context needed.
You gotta understand the guy killing everyone, right?
Well, yeah, of course, and I think that we gotta take
Sorry.
into context that the what's up?
Oh no, I didn't. I'm sorry. That was
Oh, you're
just
good.
me.
I just think that we have to take into context um that these people were, very immoral, and the best description would be what was evil is good and what is good is evil to them back in the day.
And you're
And
saying everyone, everyone, every single one, and I really am putting emphasis on that.
yeah. I would say all but eight.
So there had to be babies, right?
Oh yeah, yes, it's very sad.
Not only is it sad, they had to have been evil babies, right?
Yeah, that's something I know that I'm gonna have to like try to reconcile when it comes to like children dying and stuff. It's not something I don't know if I can. It's like I guess something I'm gonna have to work out, gain more
I
knowledge on
agree.
it because I'm not too sure.
Because to me, I think to you and to most people, when we see that, we think it's, I'm going to be extremely generous. We think that's silly. And I think to some of us, we see it as horrifying. Not your theology, but the God. Well, yeah, I guess you're getting your theology from it, but
Oh yeah, I mean
not
we can put
you,
a.
the theology. There we go. I
Yeah.
separated it out.
No, you're good. I think yeah. I mean, one might look at it as some like cosmic horror, but
Well, because I guess to just bring it back to two final points, and then anybody, or you can ask anybody. But when I think most skeptics or most people say that when truth conforms to reality, we are actually trying to say it's not on a mind. We're actually trying to put emphasis on that a rock is a rock. Whether we're having hallucinations and we see pink bunnies everywhere, if
yeah.
it's just, balloons or inanimate objects, that's what it is. And so we mean that it's something, not really higher, but just beyond consciousness.
Hmm.
And so I think that you may be saying that anyway with a God. You just try and also say the conforms with the mind of God because that has to be, because that's the shtick. But anything on that, and then I'll say a final point.
I don't really have anything.
All right. Well, my final point is just there's actually good data that Jesus was not buried in an empty tomb, that he was in
Mhm.
fact buried in something closer to what it would have been a mass grave. And there's all sorts of other things that I think would make way more sense than a guy coming back to life after 3 days. I actually said I'd leave it, but one other point. It's my new thing is that, there's only three gospels that mention Jesus as God. And so, you know, these sort of inconsistencies to me make Christianity, at least in its current form, way more suspicious because maybe Jesus didn't even think those things and no evidence for buried. Empty
Well, that's
burial.
really yeah.
I know that was a lot, but yeah, that's
Oh yeah,
everything I have.
no, that's good. I can say a little bit on that last part. I mean, yeah, I mean each gospel, each writer they had specific theological goals and audiences when they were in mind when they were making the accounts or crafting the accounts. My bad. Um, so I think that this can influence how they perceive or present, Jesus, his divinity and his teachings. Also, like we got to take in historical context. The Gospels were written several decades after the events, technically, and I'm not going to be one to shy
Sure.
away from it. I'm not going to shy away from that because a lot of people they'll tread away from that. I mean, I swallow the hard pills, so I don't care. Um,
I mean, I like that because it is true. Most of the Gospels, they were written decades after. In fact, the one that I'm mostly taking aim with, John, is the latest, most likely 60 or 100 years after Jesus was already dead. The only one that mentions Jesus as I am. So it seems to be the first, at least in the New Testament, that he's taking claim for himself as God. And then, the rest that follows has him calling himself God because they cite John.
yeah, John Owen.
And yeah, you would think that it would be something that the three others would at least mention.
Yeah, so let me see.
Did your microphone just kick out, or?
Nah, it's
I
quiet
think
for a
he's
second.
cracking open his Bible.
Oh, okay.
So let's see, we got John. So I got John chapter 1, verse 1 to 3. We all know this. In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And the Word became flesh and dwelt like a man among us. John chapter 10, verses 30. This is the NIV, by the way. This I and the Father are one. Speaking to a few people about how him and the Father's relationship is. Go to Colossians, which chapter 2, verse 9. For in Christ all the fullness of his deity lives in the bodily form. So that's a direct call out to his, definite, divine self. But then again, people can play with jargon here and say,
Well, in John, he is making a more direct reference. In all the others, there's apologetics for it, as in
Mhm.
people start to say, "Well, you have to understand the context." They didn't say it, but they said it. They called him the
right.
Son of God, but many people are called the Son of God in the Bible.
Yeah, and so I think something that people should know is that it's when he says he's the Son of Man is when you realize, oh, that's a very, like I guess like special title to be held. Because if I'm not mistaken, Son of Man is a direct reference to being the Son of God, the quote, right? Like, the actual like Son or then the triune God. Whereas, the phrase Son of God would be anybody, like me or you, like, because Adam would be
And
Son of God.
like I said, I would be more interested. And like I said, I've heard apologetics for how it's translated in the other Gospels. But if you could find any in Matthew, Mark, Luke.
Yeah, I can try to exegete this.
Because if not, there's a good chance that Jesus didn't think that he was the Son of a God. He did not go to death for being the Son of a God. He went to death for being the Messiah, the King of the Jews, the one who would lead them to Jerusalem, at least for the claim. Whether he was claiming it or not, that is what they executed him for. Because as far as the Roman state had been assured, that was not the case.
Mhm. Yeah, so like I said, in John is where you get all of it mostly. And that one, I'm gonna try to look over here in the other gospels.
Um, do you think that the Bible is necessary for proving that the Christian God is real?
Uh, I'm not gonna say that it's completely necessary, but it's what God, worked through. Because, before a line in the New Testament was ever written, there was already thousands of Christians.
Yeah, that's true. There's, my understanding is that some of the origins they're known as Christos, a bunch of Jews that split off and started their own, and that was at a time when Judaism, and I believe Judaism still does that to a great degree. There was active encouragement to challenge the religion and question it, and I suspect a lot of people saw that as a means of uh, testing the religion, so that
Yeah.
people could be more clear on why they believe it. Because
Mhm.
I think it's actually good to consider to say no ideas are off the table for scrutiny, and that we should test the ideas that guide our lives and try to make sure that they really are good ideas, or that they are valid, or whatever the necessary criteria is, and even question why we're choosing a specific criteria to test a specific idea. So I do. The impression I get from early Judaism is that, like pre-Christian Judaism is what I mean, is that they seem to favor this kind of thing and kind of encourage at least some critical thinking. I feel like some of the churches these days, at least some, probably a lot, seem to discourage critical thinking. And there's this whole idea that everything in the Bible is true and you can't question it, but you can question everything else.
Right.
So, and I don't really think that that's really the best way to go about
Yeah, I agree.
testing our ideas.
Yeah,
Sorry, what were you saying?
I said I agree with you on the last point. You shouldn't like tell people, "Oh yeah, you can't question this," because even in the scripture it says to question it. Paul even says to test him and test everything.
Well, that's a great way to support that. Thank you for bringing that up. Which verse is that? Do you happen to know?
I'm not. I'm gonna look real quick because I just remember it was a verse. Let me see if I can find the actual verse.
But while he's looking that up, I just want to say I think part of the reason why the Jews are so lax about religion is because the older that the religion gets, the more they seem to, I don't know, find it boring or something. And it seemed to have been much more fluid when it was an oral form, all jokes included, because once it's written down, you get fundamentalists, and fundamentalists are, well, they're not easy to argue with, let's put it that way. Reason with.
So the 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 21. Prove all things, hold fast that which is good, but test everything. Hold fast what is good, but test everything that is said. Hold on to what is good.
Great. Yeah. So sorry, that was you said Colossians chapter 5, was it?
Yeah, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 21.
5:21. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to make a note of that. Thank you for looking that up. This is great. And I guess part of the reason you're here is to try to test some of these ideas, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, we could do that. We could go like with Jesus claiming to be God. And what she had said earlier, or no, it was you, my bad, saying the about like testing truth claims. I mean, don't you agree that there could be like this systematic methodology that we could use to test various truth claims, you know, and
Why,
that we
yes, there
could make a
is.
set of objective criteria. Um,
I mean, just to say, we do have a system like that. We call it science, because science is often confused for its etymology as in a body of knowledge, but it's actually a process.
yeah,
It's how we, at least for now, the best way we can discern truth from from fiction, because it
Fiction, yeah.
allows us to create hypotheses, go out into the field, collect data, and then submit that data to be peer
Yeah,
reviewed.
exactly. So I'd say like a good framework to use for like approaching religion or anything of the matter would be like logical consistency. So basically, the claims of this belief system or any belief system must logically cohere to each other, not contradict in any way. And so, for an example, we can take Buddhism, right? The end goal of a Buddhist is to rid oneself of all desires, yet one must have a desire to rid oneself of all desires. That's what I find wrong with it. I'd say it's a contradiction. Um, the second criteria would be empirical adequacy. If you guys know what that is, right? Um, just
I'm not
evidence.
familiar with that, or maybe I just don't recognize it by the name.
Oh, that's all right. So
I was
just
going to say
evidence.
there's a pill for that. Different thing. Gotcha.
Right. Whether the evidence is rational, externally evidential, etc. So, like, naturally, it's only right to want proof for important claims. And there's an example we can use to test this. Sorry, Mormons, but Mormons teach that Jesus visited North America. Yet there's absolutely no proof, archaeological or otherwise, to support the claim as of now. But when we apply this to the topic of God, I think that, you know, it leads us to 4 questions. Origins. Where do we come from? Ethics. How should we live? Meaning and destiny. What is mankind heading? Where is mankind heading? And we can really take a step-by-step approach. Does absolute truth exist? Does reason and religion mix? Does God exist? And can God be known? And is Jesus God? And does God care about me? Um, this is what I got from gotquestions.org. I can send it to you.
Well, could I ask you a few questions about that? Because you asked, where do we come from? Or
Right.
maybe as Norm Macdonald says, some of these questions may be statements. So I'm going to try them. But when we ask, where do we come from? It starts with different layers, because we can ask, where do we come from our parents? Where do we come from our country of origin? Where do we come
Right.
from the planet Earth? But we can keep on going back and back and back. And
Yeah.
so my but do you, my pushback on that is the answer is almost never a God. And
Well,
so
I guess I can see it. It's like we're trying to find like I guess like a metaphysical like base unit, right? To start from, I guess. Um,
or at least we go out and we just gather the evidence that we have and we try to build a model, a working
right.
model of reality. I mean, there are many great scientists who were Christian and Muslim and Jewish. I guess what we push back on is just every time that we get, it's either experiential evidence in which we can almost never share, or it's the type of philosophical evidence. I guess that's what they're going to be called. Yeah, like first
Oh,
cause
yeah,
arguments, but they're now
yeah.
hundreds, sometimes thousands of years old too. And I don't think they're going to win over many people here.
Yeah, I think a key, I have this really interesting idea. I was reading Kant the other day too. I was thinking, I was like, you know what? They have this empirical method, right? But I'm gonna say this word, the empirical of the intangible. Like some way we can rigorously like test various, intangible truth claims. I mean, essentially one might think, well, that's just reasoning or logic, or just deductive or ambiguative, arguments or Socratic questioning. But I don't know. I think I think there's probably like something else that we could do to like I guess further, solidify our assumptions. Um,
I also offer you an alternative if you still like. Well, one of
I'm always
the
open.
well, good. That's actually a really good mindset, because sometimes we get people who say, I'm 110% convinced of this, this, and this, and we go, okay. But the Moral Teachings of Jesus of Nazareth, which is a book that Thomas Jefferson wrote, he basically went through a Bible, a little blasphemy. He cut through all of the miracles and all of the things that he thought could not be verified until it was just, in essence, the teachings of Jesus. And so he has this, I call it a pamphlet, but it at least is something. If you're looking for an alternative, a secular version, I know that more secular, deist-minded people, you could maybe make a connection there. But
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm going with it. It's like, you know, I used to be an atheist, right? I used to be an atheist, and really what turned me over was it was a bit of a mix of, personal experience, I'd say. Also, um, I did kind of had like a upbringing in the church. Went to Calvary Chapel when I was a kid, but I never really believed. So I'd say it definitely had to do with a lot of my past, and I guess there was some bias in there, but ultimately it was like a personal experience. It did change me. God, I
but
just couldn't deny I felt the Holy Spirit, right? But definitely I look at it more like you're describing, more secular, more scientific, but trying to explain it in a way that you would, but in the lens that God is. or something, Because I mean, hey, if God created everything, surely He created the sciences with it too.
Sure, and well, I'll agree with you because to me, we sometimes often get the question, well, if God can do anything, can't this miracle happen? Technically
Mhm.
speaking, yes.
Oh yeah.
We're looking for the initial claim, but I agree with you, and I like it. At least if you're putting your head behind science or your bet behind science, because can I just continue one more question? Actually, I have two now.
Yes.
Actually, okay. So, do you believe in evolution? I feel like we're having such a nice
Um,
conversation that I
I
have to.
think a better way. Sorry, I mean, I think a better way to phrase it. Do you accept evolution as realistic?
Thank you.
I'm gonna have to say that it's possible. I just don't know if I would agree per se.
You can't
I
rule
I,
it out.
I can't say that I can't rule it out because I wasn't there. I can only say that I think it's more reasonable to suggest that it was actual like 24-hour events when God created the world.
Well,
But then again, I'm not nearly knowledgeable in Hebrew or Greek, so I'd have to wait and see.
and that's what I also just want to know. Why would it be more probable, make more sense for the diversification of animals, because that's really the question I want to know, to happen super fast instead of slow and gradual?
Hmm. I mean, I could see it going slow and gradual, but I mean, it's already been proven in history that things can make a drastic change in the split of a second as well. Mount St. Helens, right? Was that the mountain that blew its top off?
Volcano? That does
Yeah.
happen?
Now, does that mean that animals didn't slowly evolve? Well, I would say
Do
that
you,
in theory, no.
I'm going to try and reach over, kinky, but do you mean the Cambrian explosion? That's the example we normally get, but that is millions of years when scientists say something happened really fast because all these really unique life
Hmm.
forms started coming out. But
Yeah.
it's never like 12 minutes or even a day or 7 days. It almost seems that that would be more within a lore or legend like story than in, you know, what actually
Mhm.
happened.
Yeah, I get you. For me, I hold to a young Earth creationist worldview. I lead like 6,000 years. And
Now,
the reason, yeah,
oh no, go go.
the reason for that would be, now I forget exactly which dating method it would be when they use the Bible to kind of like trace it back. I guess all the way down to like either Mesopotamia or whatnot. Um,
If I had to take a guess, once again, I'm assuming, but it's Bishop Usher's chronology. And what he did was he just sat there from a tower with the book, and he's just like, yeah, this guy was this old, and this guy was this old. And, if we just add it all up, I think it's like 6,000 years old.
yeah, let me see. I think it is in the 17th century. Yeah, yeah. Um, his calculation led to a conclusion that the Earth was created in 400 or 4004 BC.
Once again, nothing that the ancient Jews or Jesus believed, but, you know, the fandom sticks around, and so they can
Yeah,
retcon things.
I definitely gonna have to try to find more scientific backing for it.
Hey, you are one of the most honest theists we've gotten so far. I don't know what to tell you. Thank you
I
so
mean,
much, Tim.
of course, no problem. I'm not. I mean, I just think that just be real, just be open, because if I'm gonna do anything, it's definitely not gonna paint a bad picture on my faith, because that's just gonna push somebody away and turn away from Christ altogether.
So, we actually really appreciate how you're willing to entertain these ideas with an open mind. This is, I think, a really good approach to go through in life. And there should be no shame in it. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who consider that to be a shameful thing. But here, you found a community of people who are willing to engage with you on this seriously, and I really liked this the quality of the conversation that you provided. I also put in the, like, when you go and look at later on the YouTube chapters, you'll see that after the show is over, you will see the Bible verse that you quoted there that promotes the critical thinking that you provided. I went and found it. Thank you very much. I hope you are willing to come back again and chat with us some more in future episodes.
Yeah, definitely going to do some research and some homework and try to get some more evidence for that.
Yeah, and if you're okay with it, I'll send you a copy of my Cosmic Challenge. It's,
for sure. Yeah,
okay.
give me a basis. Yeah, give me a basis so I can post it.
Oh yeah, it's a very simple one, but it's one that there's actually a bunch of Christians praying for me that it'll actually happen. So, and a few Muslims. So, I'll send it to you in a private message. Thank you.
For sure, brother. Alrighty.
Thank you so much, Tim.
All right. God bless.
That was a very interesting conversation. The pace was a little on the slow side, but that's perfectly okay because, and I'll just note to our audience that what was happening is he was thinking through the ideas. To me, that's what it seemed like, because some people did comment that, wow, this is going very slowly. And that's what happens when people are thinking through something that they hadn't considered before, or just really want to make sure that they give an accurate answer. The pace of the conversation, it's not uncommon for it to slow down. So thank you again, Tim, for coming up. Hello, Broof and something, no cap on a stack.
Yo, what's up?
Sorry?
Yo, what's up?
Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Yes,
The
yes.
Sky, tip your waitress.
Yeah, but let's have a constructive discussion.
Oh, sure, like the one we just had. We're all for it. All right. What's on your mind?
Yes, all right. So I believe in Islam, and let's talk about basic stuff first. Like, do you believe things can appear out of nothing? Like nothing, just nothing, not even space. Like there is no space, there is no nothing. That things can appear out of nothing. Do you believe that?
Okay, I don't believe that actively. I can't rule it out if we're talking about absolutely nothing, because the characteristics. What are the characteristics of absolutely nothing? We
Just
can't.
nothing.
Well, hang on. We can't make a prediction about it. We can't say, for example, that the laws of physics and the laws of logic are applicable to absolutely nothing, because if we did that, then it would no longer qualify as absolutely nothing. So we have a bit of a conundrum there. Yeah, we have a bit of a conundrum there, but I can't rule that out, and I can't, and I'm not saying that I actually believe that. But what I will say is that most of the atheists I know do not favor the idea of something coming from nothing.
Yes, I mean, if God like created us and then He wanted us to like get guided because it is like a test, then He would like make it possible for us to think and stuff. Even anybody, if He was just, He would make it possible to like anybody that is not really that intelligent think about this. So nothing is just nothing. Can things appear out of nothing? Like it's very simple actually.
But the reason why what Randolph was trying to tell you, when you say something can't come from nothing, you're giving a quality to nothing. And so you're contradicting yourself because you're saying there's this thing, it can't do anything, but it now has qualities.
What? I mean, there is nothing, and things. I mean, if you just think, it's not really logical that things can appear out of nothing. I mean,
No.
if there was like a cake, it wouldn't have been there by itself. Someone must have created it, right?
So why would you
You're,
think something created?
you don't favor the idea. You don't believe that
Yeah,
something
yeah.
came from nothing. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. Okay.
Okay. So
We
now,
have talked.
hang on. I have one quick question for you.
Yes.
What are the origins of your God, Allah? Where did he come from?
He was always here. I mean, look, if you okay, so if we say that there's Allah, right? Then people will start saying, when what so who like if we say there was a God, people will say, well, where did that God come from? And there will be an infinite chain, right? And so things coming out of nothing doesn't make anything sense either. So the only logical conclusion that we exist right now is that there was always something, and that is something we don't understand. Like Allah, he was timeless. He's like the absolute.
So timeless, and we just discussed this earlier, and we've discussed in other episodes. When people say timeless, normally, if something cannot is timeless, that means it does not interact with time, and if
No, look,
it does not
What?
exist, then so maybe you can
What?
clarify what you mean by timeless.
Yes, thank you. Okay. You don't just go off the meaning of the word immediately. Thank
No,
you
I'm
for
not going off the meaning. I'm asking you to clarify because
yeah.
I suspect
What
you
I
might
think,
be
yeah.
meaning something different.
Yes. Thank you. So what I mean by that, he isn't really bound by time. So he can interact with us because he's absolute, so he can actually interact with time, but he isn't really bound by it. He isn't bound by nothing. He's just absolute. That
Okay,
was
so
what.
probably a better way to describe that would be to say that Allah is impervious to time.
Yes, he's just absolute. Like there is nothing like him. He can do anything he wants. He can create anything he wants out of nothing. New things, just stuff like that.
He
Okay, so
creates
how
things out of
can
nothing.
he can create things out of nothing.
Yes, because he's absolute.
You don't, but you said you don't favor things coming from nothing.
Appearing out of nothing. But if there was already Allah and he is absolute, he can create whatever he wants.
So that's things coming from
What?
him, not out of nothing.
You seem
Remove
Well,
the word
contradicting
nothing.
yourself.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly. What Taka said.
well, okay, no, look. If things with no someone setting it up or someone being behind it, things can't appear out of nothing. Like a cake, it can't just appear out of nowhere,
You think
right?
cakes came from nothing?
No. Just an example. A cake can't, appear out of nowhere, right? Someone must have made it.
No.
Yes. So this universe, then Allah made it. That's simple. That's what I think.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, he made it
Yeah.
out of himself then. Stop saying nothing.
No.
When you mean the word nothing, you mean something. Replace it with something.
Well, I don't know what you guys are talking about, but I mean that Allah was there and he just created it.
Out
He
of
just created it.
himself, not out of nothing. That's what you think.
Not necessarily himself, because we believe he's absolute, but he's the one that planned it, and set it up. Doesn't necessarily have to be out of himself. He just can
What
plan
he
it and then
created.
do it.
Okay, what did he create the universe out of?
Something he's absolute,
There
right?
you go.
That is what we believe, right? He's absolute, so he just creates something out of nothing. He can just do anything he wants.
No.
But okay, look. I
Ma,
don't know. Okay, look. Let me just explain a little bit, okay? So okay, what I mean that is it is illogical that things appear out of nowhere, out of nowhere. Just nobody planned it. It just appearing out of nowhere. Like a cake, I just explained. That is what I mean. Maybe you guys are hanging on the
no.
word nothing and something and stuff like that.
Papa, we mean a cake. You mean something different from a cake because a cake doesn't come from nothing. It comes from somebody using ingredients to make a cake.
Oh yeah, maybe that's a bad example. But okay, yeah, I mean, okay, so it is illogical then for things to appear out of nothing, with nobody planning it, nobody creating it, from anything. Just, you get me?
Something can come from something. We're on board.
I don't know, whatever. Allah created. Okay, but okay, next argument then. Um, I don't know. Okay, so if you see a mobile phone, you immediately think someone must have created it, right? Right?
Yes, that's something that comes from people. It's one of the rare things we think is
No,
a
it doesn't matter.
creation.
It doesn't matter.
It
If you
does,
see
but okay.
something that is like absolutely not naturally, right? So much coincidences must have happened for it to appear there, right? So the only logical thing you can say is like someone must have planned it, right?
Yes, on those very specific things, it's an animal,
No,
like a
no.
beaver dam.
Well, okay, the mobile, by example, is one of those examples, right?
Sure.
Yes, yes. So when you got this Earth, right, and like there is an ozone layer and everything, and the dinosaurs have already died out. You know, if the dinosaurs were here, we will not
Kinda.
be here. Yes, yes, and it is in
They
the
evolved
perfect
into something else.
dinosaurs.
Yeah, dinosaurs are
No,
birds.
no, no. I mean, they died out, right?
The
Ignore
big
evolution now.
dinosaurs. I get what you mean colloquially.
I mean, ignore
Hopefully.
dinosaurs now. Ignore, I mean, evolution. Ignore evolution now. If dinosaurs were here, we would be dead, right?
I don't know what you mean by if they hadn't evolved into a different niche, we wouldn't have become the rat but walking upright things that we are today. Yes.
Well, okay, so you believe like there was dinosaurs and then they evolved into some other stuff, and like
Birds.
that's why we are not dead because dinosaurs just evolved into other stuff.
Yes, they evolved into birds. We call
Oh,
them avian. They are
because
avian dinosaurs and there are non-avian dinosaurs.
But I mean, it would be unnatural for. I mean, the evolution theory. I'm not, a scholar or anything, but I watched the guy and he like cracked it down because there was like. I mean, this is just a quick thing I will mention, but there was like a human like that. I mean, not a human, but something that is similar to a human. They said like a human-like thing or ape-like thing or anything like that they showed. It was called Lucy, right? And
Yeah.
that Lucy, it was like the skeleton of it. It was like of apes and donkeys and everything. They just lied, right?
And
So
donkeys. How did donkeys get in there?
exactly, they just lied and they put everything in there to make it look that
Bruh,
there
I
was
hate to tell you this.
what?
Someone lied to you.
Okay, okay. Okay, so yeah, this is a bit tough. To be honest with you, this is a bit tough about the evolution,
Well,
but
evolution
because
is just the proxy war for religion.
I
mean,
think he might be
atheists
talking
are-
about the Nebraska man.
Hmm?
And he confused it with Lucy.
Yeah, because Lucy is a well-known archetype for what
wait,
soon came
I would
thousands and thousands of other fossils. But then there
I
has
will
been some incidents within the past 200 plus years that they've been doing this.
okay. I'm not a scholar. It is like it is what it is. But I know like a Muslim guy who's like he's very knowledgeable and everything, and he uses not his own sources, but like Western sources. Wait, uh, I chat in the send the like videos, YouTube videos in the chat now.
Heathen Helpline. I'm sorry, Heathen
Where
Hangout
yes,
chat.
I need a helpline, yes, because I'm not a scholar, absolutely not. But this guy goes over it. I mean, we are not gonna be able to go over it right now, but you guys can look it up, and he like disproves everything, and he shows
Can
how
I ask
people
you,
lie a
bro?
lot. Yes,
Is he a scholar?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, he uses sound arguments at least, and like he uses Western sources and everything. So like, yes. I mean, you can look it up and then you can believe it or not believe it. But like, yeah, is there a chat or something? Oh,
Yeah,
There
the
is.
Heathen Hangout chat right above.
wait, what chat?
Heathen Hangout.
It's immediately above this stage. It should be in the Theist Helpline group.
It's the first hashtag above us. Heathen Hangout.
It's got
I
a
don't
purple
see it.
smiley face.
I see music links and I see music videos, and then shield chat and stuff like that. Safe its space. What is that?
And
Wait, wait.
David Spade? I'm just teasing.
Wait. I'll try. I'll try to find.
Find the Theist Helpline stage that you're in, and then immediately above it, you will see the Heathen Hangout chat.
I just pinged you in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay, thank you. Here. This guy is I don't know if he's a scholar, but he uses sound arguments and everything. He disproved evolution theory. But okay.
The Muslim.
Hang on. Just a quick question. Was it your intention to time mark it at about 5,000 seconds in?
Time market. What does that mean?
Oh, you
No.
can stamp on it, so the video will start at a particular time.
Oh no. No, that was not my intention.
Okay, just asking. Okay, start for the
Yeah,
whole.
yeah.
That's what you're saying. Okay.
But can I also ask? It's called the Muslim Lantern.
Yes.
I'm just putting it out there. I don't mean to like roast you too much, but I feel like that is not a university.
I don't know about what the specific things of this guy, but like you can look at him, his arguments, and then the links he provides and stuff like that. And he's quite knowledgeable. He has like a Quran. He knows the Quran like he has in memory and everything. So I think he is like half scholar or something. I don't know, something like that. But he uses sound arguments though.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm up to the arguments. I will say what I do believe that it is. I think it's a Dawa channel. Dawa channels are set up
Yes.
to defend the faith, and
No.
so
I mean, they are dawa channels. Do you know what dawa means? It means inviting someone. And when you invite someone, he can reject or he can accept. And if you use sound arguments, it's more likely he accepts. And if you use like scientific arguments and everything, more likely that person will accept, right?
Brah, that is fantastic. We are an anti-Dawa channel here. We are inviting you right now to an all-time paid cruise. Wait, no. We are inviting you to leave religion.
Okay, yeah, that you can do. Yeah, okay. Thank you. I don't know. I don't know. But okay, so you believe that all the dinosaurs, all species and everything evolutionized at the same time, or not necessarily the same time, but they all disappeared and now we only have non-dinosaur things and yeah, they are living in peace.
Not
we
so
have a
like
lot of dinosaur
God.
things.
Not really. Not like the ones that can eat
What?
us in one gulp and like
How many
well,
birds live on the planet right now?
yeah, I mean that is not a dinosaur thing. I mean, what I mean, okay.
What?
Whatever. What I mean is like the T-Rexes and all those stuffs that can like end us or before we had science and like guns and everything, they could have ended us, right? Yeah. I mean those things because I mean in the videos I usually look at, they say the dinosaurs died out by a meteorite, right?
So very specifically, what happened is a meteor changed their environment drastically, and almost every species of dinosaur died. There were
Exactly.
but
I mean
they yes, exactly. But then
exactly.
not all of them died, and so
Exactly.
the dinosaurs that lived on, we call them birds.
Okay. I don't know about that one, but anyways.
So I'm posting something at Heathen Hangout for you.
Okay, I will maybe look at it.
No, yeah, you could take my word. It's gonna be like 5 seconds. I just want you to look at this thing and tell me what this thing looks like.
A bird?
Yeah, it's a bird.
What the fuck? Okay.
I know.
Whatever. Okay, I don't know what you mean by sending this bird, but okay. So
Because it
ignore
looks
that.
like a dinosaur. It looks like a fucking dinosaur.
Not
I was
really.
gonna curse. Not really. Okay.
No. I don't know. Your opinion. I don't know. Okay, but okay, let's ignore that for now. Please, and focus on that. Almost all the dinosaurs, or maybe all of them, died, while many species remained that we can live with. Right? Yes.
Yeah.
Coincidences, right? Totally.
No, it's the
Yeah.
environment.
Right, environment. A meteorite came and the Earth didn't go wild, and only the dinosaurs died, and we now have a very nice Earth with like a
That's
bunch
right.
of forests
Only
and
the dinosaurs. It targeted. It was like genetic code lock.
exactly.
Boom. No.
Yes.
No. Do you understand where the woolly mammoth went and where there were sea creatures that went extinct? There large creatures with
Yes,
higher
exactly.
amount of carbon no longer exist.
Exactly. Makes
So-
what I say more, I mean, believable. that is can't be a coincidence. All of these things were targeted that we
It's not
can't
a
live with,
coincidence.
right? That we can't live with. Okay, so you can have this in the list of wonders that happened on the earth, like quite you think, oh, this can't really be a coincidence, that the things that we can't really live with died. All of them died that we can't really live with, like T-Rexes, megalodons, and all that stuff, right? That is in the list I will mention. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Say that point one more time.
Okay, so you can have like the dinosaurs dying out by a meteorite, while other things are still living. The things
Okay.
that we can live with, humans. Humans can live with these things. Somehow.
Yeah.
Now more with science and everything. But yeah, the T-Rexes and stuff, we can't really live with them.
Yeah,
Too
well,
impossible.
we lived with them. We just lived in a smaller form. They were kings of larger domains, and so
I
we
don't know about
lived
that one.
as rats. We
I
lived
don't know
as
about that one.
mice. No,
Okay, what we know right
it's
now
hey,
is that
bro. I hate, and it's funny, brah, dude. What? But it's not my opinion. I'm not telling you because I feel this way.
right.
I'm giving you scientific facts, and they're objective.
I mean, okay, look, the scientific facts one, I mean, the video I sent, yeah, the scientific facts, they go over it, and, it's not really scientific. It's opinions of
But that's the
scientists.
Muslim lantern. That's not a
No, yeah,
scholarly
I
source.
understand. But do you know what links he provides? Not Muslim links, no, Western media links
Oh,
that
Western
disprove.
link. What is he?
Yes,
What is it? It's like
no,
So
www.thisisablog.com.
nature,
hang on a sec. Here, he listened carefully what he said. He said Western media links.
I
yes,
know.
yes.
We'd
They
be
even
more
speak
interested in,
English. It has to be true.
we'd be more interested in peer-reviewed science or scholarly
Yes.
works.
Yes, I mean, nature. It was. I don't know the specific ones because, like, I'm not a scientist. I don't look at these websites all the time. I don't know which ones are the most credible ones and stuff like that. But he says that they are quite credible, and like Nature.com or something goes over this as well, and stuff like that. I think. Yeah. But yeah. Okay, so what we are sure of right now is that there was dinosaurs that we can't really live with too hard, and now there is no dinosaurs,
Oh
and
my
there's
god.
stuff we can live with, right? And they died by a meteorite or something. Sounds
The
quite
environment changed, and so the
right.
environment selected them. And so now
Yes,
they live in a different form. There are birds all over the world. And so
coincidence.
no, I mean, I don't get that. Like, what?
No. Okay. I mean, okay.
Very
I'm sorry. Okay, we can have this like one of the list of the wonders of the earth. That a meteorite came and then the dinosaurs that are not very nice died, right? Very nice, right?
That
But
they were really mean, super
yes,
mean. And
yes,
the
yes,
meteor was like, boom, I'm getting rid of all these meaty faces. I think that's the
yes.
scientific.
Yes. Okay, something like that. Okay, it sounds quite unbelievable that the meteorite comes and then we have no dinosaurs, right? But we can say it's a coincidence for now, right?
Do
Okay.
you think the meteors like hit like it was one meteor and it just like it targeted all of them? How do you
I don't
think it
know.
happened? How do you think it had? Take a guess. How do you think the meteor killed them? Do you think it was lasers?
I don't know. It's the like in the school here in like the Western world. I studied it. Well, they showed
Did
us it
you
that
though?
that meteorite came and deleted all the dinosaurs, right?
How did it do
Yeah.
it?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
In the classroom? Were you there?
Yes, I was there.
Uh,
Yes, and there was like smoke coming everywhere, and yeah, it was crazy. That's what
it
they
was
showed us in the
crazy.
video. Yes. But one of the list of the coincidence we can say coincidences. For
It's
now,
okay.
only coincidence for now.
Can I tell
That
you why they survived? It's because there was a Neil
died out.
Patrick dinosaur and there was a Morgan Freeman dinosaur. That's the only reason that we still have them to this day. Did you know that?
I don't know, but okay. So the dinosaurs that we can't live with died, right? There is skeletons of them and everything. We can't deny that. There was dinosaurs that were not nice, and they died, right? Right?
Yes, that's the question. Why?
Yes, they died. The mean dinosaurs died. Okay, next one. Water vaporizes and there is rain and everything that goes over lands. We know where there is not really a lot of water and stuff like that, and we can live, right? Rain. Yes.
Was that salt water or fresh water? Because apparently those don't mix according to the Quran.
That's
Yes.
true.
Yes. Okay. Wait. Yes. 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 According to the Quran, that's true. They don't mix. Well, I don't know the exact thing, but they don't really mix. They may be. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But let's keep on this argument for now. The list of coincidence, surely. For now, we can call them coincidences. Okay. But there is rain, right? That is very nice for us humans. We are in the perfect distance from the sun. What more? There is a lot of fruits. There is a lot of vegetables. We can plant stuff, and very nice environment for humans to live
For
in.
the anthropic principle, you're asking why is it so nice when we
Exactly.
well,
And also, did you know
well
that?
no, before we go also, is there any other planets that are in this habitable zone that we're in?
Maybe, but not completely. Not
Not
completely that we
completely?
know of.
No, there's
Okay.
two others, Venus and Mars.
Not really. I mean, maybe in the habitable
What do you
zone
mean not
that
really?
because there is no living things on them and they are very hectic, right? They are very hectic. Things can't live on them, right?
Yeah, currently, Mars could have had life. It actually may have life still under. We don't know because we can't go there. But it's
But
within the
there is
habitable
like
zone.
gases and stuff that make people unable to live, right?
I don't know what that means. Oxygen is actually a burning force for billions of years. Oxygen was a poison to most of life. It wasn't until photosynthetic organisms dominated the planet that it switched and organisms began to breathe air.
I don't know about that, but in Mars there is stuff
You
that
keep
make
on
people.
saying you don't know about that. I'm not giving you my opinion. When I say these
Okay,
things, it
okay.
doesn't come from a holy text. No, continue. Okay.
Okay. So in Mars there is like a bunch of gases, I think, that make things unable to live, right? I think that is the case.
It
Wait.
lacks, depending on what we're talking about, it lacks an atmosphere.
Yes.
Venus,
I don't know.
however, was a runaway gas hound effect. And so we watch Venus as a warning because although a little bit of heat is good, if we let the global system get too warm, then it becomes a runhouse gas effect and we get Venus. You get clouds enveloping
Exactly.
us.
And the Earth in the perfect like balance, and everything can live here. Yes. Yes.
Yes, you're saying what can live here lives here. That is correct. It happened
Oh.
fairly quickly after 4.5 billion years, but it's because we have things like carbon, we have liquid water, we have the sun. There's good reasons to why life arose here, and none of them seem to be a god.
Uh, right. And did you know also that the universe goes, expands at a rate that it doesn't really get that things don't go too far away and they don't get pulled in back, right? At a perfect rate. You know that, right?
What do you mean a perfect? I don't know anything in the universe that is perfect.
Well, they go at a rate where things don't get pulled back and things don't go too far away and you can't really live anymore.
Are you talking
Things.
about gravity?
Yes, gravity. After the Big Bang Theory, things now expand, right?
He thinks
Yes.
the Quran talks about the rapid inflation
Oh,
of the Earth,
this
where
is
it's
that
talking
one
about the
passage.
expanding.
We've went into this passage. It's like a single sentence that said he broke apart the heavens, but that is not a continuation of the cosmos expanding.
Well, I'm not talking about the Quran proof right now, just general things that the universe is expanding. I studied this in physics that the universe is expanding at a rate where things don't get pulled back, into another Big Bang, and things don't go too far away, and it becomes I don't know weird, and
Do
we
you
can't really
believe in
live
the Big
anymore.
Bang?
What?
Do you believe in the
Yes.
Big Bang?
I mean, if the Quran says it, I believe it because it has too many other proofs, that prove it. So, Like if it says something, then I believe it. Yes.
Fantastic. Let's go to the Quranic model of the diversity of life. How did all these different organisms get on Earth?
I don't know, but I know that humans, at least, it started with Adam that Allah created. Well, that's what we believe, right? And then he made his wife out of him. I don't know how that happened. And then
Logistics. They're, pain in
what?
the ass. Logistics. They're a pain in the ass. I understand.
I don't know. Okay, but then they disobeyed Allah and then they came to Earth. That's what we believe. So no evolution for humans.
Wait, they
That's what
came
we
to
believe.
Earth? Like from another planet?
From heaven,
I
like
mean,
the
we can
place.
call that another planet, right? That's somewhere else than Earth.
I don't know. Somewhere Earth, yes. Somewhere else, yes.
Guys
Yes,
are not
somewhere
so
else.
different from Mormons after all.
From what?
From Mormons.
Mormons what?
Well, you guys are both like the third in the trilogy. You're both claiming, the Old and the New Testament. Though you guys both retcon a lot of stuff.
Wreck on? What does that mean?
Means like you do it your own way. Like the Bible has an Adam and Eve, but you're like, we believe in Adam and Eve. We want it to be like our own version of it.
I don't know about that. But there is
You don't know a
a
lot,
version.
man.
Yes. I'm not a scholar, but there is a version of it in the Quran, and just because it's different doesn't mean it's not true, right? Yes.
Sure. I just find it funny. That's what I just mean. I'm just pointing out you guys are the trilogy holders. You guys are both saying the old ones. That's our stuff. You claim the Jews and the Christians. Jesus is one of your guys, right?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, but you do agree that there's a lot of coincidences going on, surely going on here, so that we can live, right?
I have not heard, and I mean this. I'm trying to be nice. I have not heard you name a single coincidence. Because
I mean,
coincidence is different from irony. Coincidence is something like this just happens and this just happens at like
exactly.
a very weird time. I've not heard you say a single example of that.
Dinosaurs dying out. That is one. And
Yeah, why did that happen? Was it a
uh,
coincidence?
that's what you guys believe, but we
No.
believe that Allah made the Earth
What
habitable
was the
for humans.
coincidence? Walk me through it. What was the coincidence?
Well, you guys also believe that a meteor, hit the Earth and it killed the dinosaurs only, right?
Yeah, it was like the Terminator. It just came down and it was like,
Yeah.
I fucking hate dinosaurs.
Yes, exactly. And you believe that it's a coincidence.
I'm trying to think. Do I have to explain the concept of sarcasm, or is that like just too on the nose? Am I just keeping up?
I mean, also people tell me that I don't sometimes that I don't understand sarcasm. So like, yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Well, then I guess that's not what happened. I'm just gonna have to be more direct.
Oh, damn. Okay, I don't know how they died, but they we can see skeletons of them, so they definitely existed, and now they definitely don't exist. That is one, that is for sure. They existed, now they don't exist, and we can live here, right?
What happened?
I
Is
don't
that
know
a
what happened.
meteor
Do I
came?
have to
No,
know?
I'm giving a listen. A meteor came, and it severely disrupted the environment for
I don't say I believe
all
that.
of the apex predators for the niches that were going on. And afterwards, new niches were able to form. We had our rat place. We were able to grow into larger species. We were able to speciate.
Evolution.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I don't know about evolution. No, because this guy disproved it. Disproved it. The one I sent the video of. So like.
I forgot. And he got his degree from University of Basement.
I
I'm
don't know
pretty
about that,
sure.
but he used sound arguments. Okay, forget about evolution. There was dinosaurs, and now they don't exist. And the other one is that the universe is expanding at a rate that is like very nice, so that the universe, don't go crazy, and it doesn't get pulled back, or it doesn't expand too much, and stuff like that. Perfect rate, right? Yeah, two things at least, and that rain rain, it goes over to all different places, so people can get water.
Rain
That's
goes
also
everywhere. It goes
yes,
everywhere perfectly.
yeah. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I don't know.
Have
So that
you
is
ever heard of this environment called a desert?
yes, people can't really live there, but it doesn't have to be all places, right? And there's
So you're like,
oases
it's
anyway.
a perfect, but some places not so perfect.
Well, it can be perfect in other senses. Well, it can be perfect by being scuffed as well. Yes, but people live here, right? People live in the desert as well with oases and stuff. People can
Sure.
live. Yes, and with rain. What other things? Can you name some things also that is very nice for humans? Fishes, a bunch of fishes, a bunch of animals that we can eat and stuff like cows, and we can also get milk from them. And also there is
Why
dogs
is that?
So,
Oh, no, go Randolph.
atheism is also very nice for humans.
that yeah, very nice that you die and then you become nothing. Yeah.
That's not atheism.
What?
That's science.
What does atheism say then?
It doesn't say that. It just,
Oh.
I just, as an atheist, I don't believe in any deities. I'm not beholden to the whims or edicts of any of these deities. I'm free. I have true, complete freedom to live my life how I want to live it. Now I have to go along with the laws in the country I'm in, and so we have human rights and whatnot here, which entail not violating other people's rights as part of exercising my own rights. But I'm okay with that. That works well for me in society and seems to work well for most people. But again, I've gotten off track from atheism here. Atheism doesn't put any restrictions on me. It doesn't limit me in any way. It doesn't require me to follow any rituals, to pray, to do things like that. And I find that this works well for me for my life.
Yes, you say something interesting actually, that you are not restricted, right? You're not restricted by anything, so you can do anything. You can drink alcohol.
No, that's not what I said. I said atheism doesn't restrict me in any way.
Yeah, well, yeah. So you're not really restricted by your atheism, and you are atheist, so you're not restricted. So you can drink alcohol, you can do all of those things, and yeah, and you know
As
that
can you.
me, I can't drink alcohol. I'm restricted by Islam, by
You
Allah.
physically, you can't hold the cup.
So what I'm going to say here is now, this might surprise you. If that works well for you, then great. Where I have a problem with these religious ideologies is when there are people trying to impose them on other people who don't
I
want
also
to
have a
be part of
problem.
it.
I also have a problem with that. Actually, in Islam we say there is no compulsion in religion, and this is like you guys invite people here, right? So I can speak about things here, right?
Yep. And just point out that I agree. I know that is part of the Quran, the Holy Quran. I'm sorry.
Yes.
And
No problem. No.
Yeah. I like to be respectful with all these things. Because I find it's conducive to better conversation. So that's why I'll always say Holy Quran or Holy Bible or Holy Torah or whatever the correct terms are for these things. Try to convey respect for the people I'm conversing with.
Yeah.
I find Amy's really good this way, and the other people here are too. It says that there's no compulsion in religion. However, when I look at some other parts of the Quran, like the Holy Quran, like chapter 4, verse 89, that talks about killing people who refuse to immigrate in the way of Allah, basically to become Muslims. That seems to be at odds. Now, that it has that there, and I've talked with other Muslims about this. They'll say it's out of context. There's nothing before or after those verses that say you should not do this.
Okay, wait. Okay, look. So you can't take things out of context, right? And this guy
Unless
that
take it out of context.
What?
I wasn't taking. I was reading what's in the Quran and the Holy Quran, and I see that.
Okay, so if you want to know something, right, you gotta learn it from the people that like have it, right, and that know it, right?
So you're saying that instead of reading the Holy Quran, I should talk to people?
Well, you should listen to the scholars of Islam and what they say.
So the book is not good enough on its own.
No, it's
but I
good.
need
It's
to-
good.
but well, if it's good enough on its own for the common person to read, which is what's encouraged in Islamic tradition, as
Yes.
far as I know, then the scholarship part should be entirely optional. Why should I have to defer to scholars when I'm capable of reading this stuff myself?
So you can't. So you don't take things out of context. And okay,
Well,
wait. Let me
the
talk.
problem is there's scholars that have disagreements about what the correct contexts are. So, I'll just read the book myself and read it on my own and make my own determination. Wouldn't that be sufficient?
Okay. Okay. What was the verse? Anyways, I will look at it.
Chapter 4, verse 89. It says that a person should be emigrate in the way of Allah, and if they refuse to do that, kill them. Now, that's not the exact wording, but that's the gist of it. That's the meaning I take from it.
Right.
Chapter 4, verse 89.
Uh,
Amy, did I interrupt your conversation
For
earlier?
the betrayal.
Oh,
Wait. Okay, so I now just opened Quran.com and it says for their betrayal. So I don't really know about this verse, but I already see something. Okay.
Okay, let's go
about
okay, so for betrayal, the
Yeah.
punishment for betrayal is to force Islam on people or kill them.
Okay, look, this is something that people nitpick on. Let me talk about it. This is something that if you leave Islam and you live in an Islamic ruled country, not any other country, if you live in an Islamic ruled country and you got a bunch of Muslims, if someone tries to leave Islam, you will try to convince him. You give him all sound arguments. You can have all debates you want, and if he can't disprove you and stuff like that, then you kill him. Yes, that is the case.
Okay.
damn, that's
Your read on-
evil.
Go ahead, Amy. You got a different read on it than I did, but go ahead, Amy. You've got something to
No, it's
Well,
just
I don't know about-
holy moly.
I don't
They
know about
kill
this
the
verse.
guy for not
Yes.
believing after all that.
But,
Disagreements.
wait. You can't be a non-Muslim, but when you become a Muslim, then you are restricted because it is because there is a lot of problems when people just leave and then they cause corruption and stuff.
So, do you think it's okay for people to leave Islam?
Yes, but in an Islamic ruled country, I don't know about the exact rulings, but it was I think 20 days or something, and you get him all the scholars he needs and stuff like that, and you explain everything to him. And if you you need to explain it to him in a good way, and convince him, and then he can't really disprove it. Then I think the Islamic rule of that time can kill him. Yes.
I think this is a good. Go ahead.
Apostasy is a capital punishment crime, and the Pew Research Group did a survey of a lot of different Islamic-run countries throughout the world, and it was definitely statistically significant. The study was well done, and they found that roughly 65% of the Muslims living in these countries and all over the world, overall, 65% favored death for apostasy. That sounds like compulsion to be part of the religion to me. So these countries that have these laws, even, they are violating human rights, and yet they've got 65% roughly support on those laws. I see that as a serious problem for the future of humanity. Do you?
Okay, not really, because when you have morals, you have subjective, and objective morals. And also there is Jews and Christians and everybody living there as well. Just Muslims, if they try to live, it's quite problematic, and they can also just hide it. They can really just hide it. You can say that I am a Muslim and everything, and you're spared. You're spared, literally. You can just not cause corruption and make the people and the country go crazy and stuff like that, because it's problematic. And also, a bunch of different countries and religions had that as well. I mean,
But they don't
yeah.
want to.
Death for apostasy, in my view, is compulsion to be in the religion, to stay in it. If there's no compulsion in religion, and they really mean it, and they really mean that the Quran, the Holy Quran, is correct in that, and that that's a good moral, then there should be no death for apostasy. People should be free to leave at any time. I've shot my bolt now. Go ahead, Amy.
Yeah. Well.
I just want to point out, I mean, this is why we need to oppose fundamentalist Muslim countries. There should not be countries run by Sharia law.
You are fine. I
They-
mean, you are fine. You're just fine. If you are not Muslim, you can be there. You can be non-Muslim
Sure.
and everything.
But we want Muslims to stop being Muslim. And so if you're going to kill them just because
You
they
can
are
immigrate.
expressing, no, we want no fundamentalist Muslim countries. We're going to try to push so that, you're not killing people just because your feelings got hurt.
No. It is
That's what
so
it kind of
that
sounds like.
it is so that the things, the country doesn't go crazy and everybody leaves Islam, and then some
Sure.
other country can invade it, and
But
it
that's what
becomes
we
weak and
mean.
stuff.
What we want is for the country to stop being Muslim. You're calling that crazy. We're saying the country is not rational for having a fundamentalist religion where they kill people who disagree with them. Oh, you didn't give a good enough argument. We're going to cut your head off. You should have been convinced of it.
Yeah, well, maybe yes, and
No,
they
maybe
got him all
no.
the. Okay, look, they literally get him all the scholars he needs, a bunch of days, and to the end, so the country doesn't get corrupted. You can just say, "Yeah, I am a Muslim," and you are good. I mean, you're literally good. You can just lie outright,
Sure.
and it
But
is part of the religion.
corruption can't be helping other people leave the religion too. That's not corruption. That's a good thing. We want that to happen.
You want wait,
We want people to leave the religion so they stop being corrupt. It's a corrupt system.
Right.
We
Okay.
want
Wait.
people to leave it. I don't see.
That is only applicable, this law, only if you have if you you debate with him all day, all night, and if he can't give you any argument it's not true, and you give him all the arguments he needs that it is true, then you can do it. But if he
Do you
gives
think
you
we should
arguments,
be able, at least in secular countries, do you think that we should be able to argue with Muslims? And if they aren't able to give us good arguments, only after we've exhausted all good arguments and they still don't believe us, then we cut their heads off?
also they can just lie. But also this is not nice of you then.
I'm sorry, but if you're saying they just lie, you realize it's immoral. You're admitting, I know it's immoral. You could just lie about it while we're all being...
You can just lie about it. And also, the thing you just said is
Bruh.
not nice because... Wait.
You are saying be moral. We should not be promoting lying. Let me try this for you. Don't lie about it. See how
No,
good
it
that
is
feels?
moral. It is moral. Well, we
a liar?
believe in objective morality from Allah, because subjective is just your opinions and what you think. But I can kind of see the moral thing in it, that this guy doesn't go ahead and destroy a whole... Well, not really this guy, but a lot of guys. It takes more than that. It doesn't corrupt the country. It doesn't become weak for invasions, and it was especially the case before, because Romans, all that kind of stuff, they were all waiting on their chance. Not even China, everybody. It was crazy back then, right? Everybody waited for their chance to go in and invade. Maybe not now, really not too much. It's actually kind of true. There is still colonialism, in everything, like Israel and stuff like that. But yeah, back then, much more hectic. So I think it's much more moral that the country doesn't get corrupted and it doesn't become weak and everything, and everybody starts opposing the government and Islam and everything, and then it becomes weaker to invasion and everybody die. It's much better that this guy lies. I mean, he's already non-Muslim, which we believe is immoral. So it doesn't matter if he does more immoral stuff. I think it's much better thing that this guy, lies than the whole country getting.
So you are saying we should cut Muslims' head off if we're not able to convince them that they're right. At least if it's in a secular country, right? It's secular laws, secular people.
That is not nice of you, because
It's not really nice of you to cut people that disagree with your heads off.
Okay, no, that is not true.
Sorry, Amy, I just can't get on board with you on that one.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
which one?
Let me please talk. Let me please talk.
Oh,
So,
well, I would never do that. I think that's moral and the great thing about secular countries is that we treat everyone with respect, or at least we try
right.
to have everyone's belief systems. I would never, in a million years, Randolph, I'm trying to go to abductio ad absurdum. Of course, he doesn't want
Can I talk?
his laws applied to
I
him.
know,
Can I
I'm
talk?
just being facetious.
Oh, gotcha.
Can I talk, please? Please.
Sure.
Okay, okay. So back then, the only place where like people, wait, wait. Okay, so back then the people, the only place they could live like nice together, it was Muslim countries, Jews, Christians, and everything. And why is what you say is not nice? Because these laws don't work on like non-Muslims. You can't be a non-Muslim. Just when you join Islam, you can't really live if you too many arguments are presented and you can't present one. Okay, and it takes a lot of time and you can just lie. Okay,
So why
yeah.
can't they do it in a secular country? Why can't they just lie and say they don't believe in a god?
In a secular country? What do
Yeah,
you mean
so
by
we
that? Okay,
don't
wait,
cut
wait.
their heads off. We're putting two countries aside. We're figuring out whether we should cut our citizens' head off. You said your
Okay, wait,
claim
wait.
so far. Mhm.
Okay, let me talk. Why I think that what you said is not nice because Christians and atheists and everything can just live in Muslim countries, but you are saying that Muslims that already have their belief sets, you know, uh, you will cut their head off. But
Mhm.
it's not the same at all as Muslim countries because like atheism, they're not atheists, so they are not applicable
Isn't it
to the
Iran
atheist rules.
where
Uh, what?
atheism is a terrorist act and you are punished by
Saudi
death?
Arabia. That's
Saudi Arabia.
I don't know about some countries what they do. I'm pretty sure what you guys are saying is fake. But you can be an atheist, you can be a Christian, you can be a Jew, and also Islam got movement rights 1,400 years ago. While while you guys struggled with it till like feminism came, and now feminism is kind of bad. It's kind of crazy with depression and
Oh,
divorces
very
and everything.
scary. Women actually having equality.
And
Uh,
in Saudi Arabia, it is true that is the law. You can even research it. If you're an atheist in Saudi Arabia, the government will classify you as a terrorist and punish you to 1,000 lashes, followed by the death penalty. That's my understanding.
Maybe it's for Muslims then. If you become an
Atheist. That's
atheist,
atheist. If you're an atheist in Saudi
well,
Arabia,
then that is not Muslim, and I'm pretty sure what you say is fake because a lot of people go to Saudi Arabia, and I have seen a lot of people go to Saudi
they're
Arabia, and
being
they are
very
not
careful.
Muslims.
They're being very careful not to admit they're atheists when they're there.
No, literally, everybody goes to Saudi Arabia. There is football there. I'm pretty sure what you're
We're
saying
all
is fake.
atheists.
What?
I'm just teasing you more. I love you,
Okay.
bro.
Thank you, thank you. I love you guys as well. But yeah, you understand me, right? That these rules are only applicable to Muslims, so that country doesn't get fucked over. But
You understand? We're never going to accept that, right? That is
I,
never.
I mean,
Get raked over by who?
get fucked over
By
by like
who? By who?
nearby countries, and it is especially true back then. It was so crazy back then. Everybody invading everybody. You can't show weakness. If you show weakness, and
How does Islam protect your country? That's what military forces do, national defense.
exactly. But if you got like people, everybody leave Islam, and then everybody opposes the government. Everybody does their own thing. It goes crazy, and everybody opposes each other, and they are not really united. Then the country is showing weakness, and it can get invaded. And yeah, exactly. And also, why you said not say why what you said is not nice, Amy, is because if you have such rules at like people that disagree with you, you should cut their head off. It is because in Islam, it's only applicable to Muslims. So if you got like atheism as like something like religion, not really a religion, something like that, it should be only applicable to atheists, right?
But
Not
can I tell
Muslims.
you, when you tell me it's not nice, I just imagine a guy sneaking in with a burglar mask and a knife, and like you punch him in the leg, and he goes, "Hey, that's really mean." You're like, yes, because you're trying to steal, rape, kill. Like you're doing. Like, I'm sorry to use such.
I'm a burglar.
Not a burglar, but you are part of the mob, apparently wanting
Not
to
mob.
kill someone's.
No,
You want to.
we don't want to kill. You can just lie. We just want the country not to get fucked over, and so
But bruh,
everybody dies.
you
And
understand
also,
that is
what?
evil. You're telling people to just believe something different because
No.
your version of what you think is good, you don't want people to leave the religion. You view that as corrupt.
Yes,
You view that as
religion.
weak.
No, I already said to you. They got him all the scholars he need. They get him everything, and he can literally just like go away if he uses sound arguments and he disproves it. But if he can't do it and too many arguments are for Islam, then then he's just doing it because he wants to, and he's just doing it because yeah, corruption basically.
What if he
He wants to
disproves your
drink alcohol.
God and then makes a bunch of Muslims
Exactly.
atheists? What happens
Uh,
then?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but we can now. Yeah, I'm not sure actually. I'm not a Muslim scholar, but we are now talking about apostasy, right? And or something like that. And where were we? Where were we? What the fuck? Yeah. Yes. They get him all the scholars he needs and everything. And if he leaves, then he's probably leaving for desires and everything, like alcohol, and stuff like that. Because if Islam is the truth, then you gotta go do it. Heaven and hell, and also we believe in objective morality. So what Allah tells us is the truth, and stuff like that. And yeah. What the fuck?
Yeah, I just don't see us leaving religion or anyone making your country weaker. In fact, at least from our perspective, that would make them stronger.
No, it does. It does actually. If you got everybody doing their own thing and everybody fighting each other, then you got different sects, and then
Yeah, like Sunni and Shia.
I don't know about that, but if you got people fighting each other and everything and killing each other, and then the country can get invaded, and it was very brutal back then. Like there was like the Mongol invasion and everything. There was plenty of the things. There
But
were
we don't
crusades.
live then. We
They,
live in a.
they there were crusades and everything, so it was very dangerous. You can't afford to you can't afford that the country get corrupted. You can't afford that everybody does their own thing and fight each other. And before Islam, if you didn't know, in Arabia then, everybody were fighting each other. Everybody were going in and killing each other.
And now there's peace in the Middle East.
Exactly. And
Heartwarming.
Islam brought peace, and also, Islam brought peace. Literally, reunited everybody and got women rights and made women able to inherit stuff, and it was very nice. Yes, in like barbaric times, crusades, people
But you
invading
know
each
what
other.
you have to
killing-
watch out for? A scary thing. You wouldn't want like some warlord just coming over and just like force or killing or converting your women and children. That's what you need to protect yourself against.
What? Converting? Oh, wait. You don't have to convert literally to Islam, but I mean, yes. And if you are Muslim, I already explained what it's not. It's very bad. At least, especially back then, that people just leave Islam and fight each other because they can get invaded and they are fucked.
Or maybe they just try and point out how silly of a religion all of these religions, but including Islam is.
Okay, why do you think it's silly?
Because it makes claims. It has an entire chapter dedicated to talking ants.
I mean, do you know that ants have the most
Communicate. Yeah, they can talk to other ants. It's amazing. You know who they can't talk to?
And it was probably more silly back then. What ants talking and acting like humans. But now we have science and everything. Now we know that ants have very complex. They have literally politics. They have politics. It's so their communication is so complex and like humans. So
I think we actually saw a documentary on that. It's called Ant-Man? Something like that.
Exactly. So it's actually a proof of the Quran, actually.
It is, if you think about it.
Yes. Yeah. So, where are we? Yeah. Okay. So we talk
That's
about
a good
coincidence.
question.
Yeah, we talk about that there's too many coincidences. You know, we got sheep, we got cows. It's very nice for humans to live here. Just like if there was just a mobile out there, and you know, you gotta think someone created it, and then we.
Okay, so sheep and cows, coincidences. This is just evolution. When
Right.
things
What the?
develop over time, and whatever can survive in the environment, and if that includes interacting with other life forms, then it works. And there is so much that hasn't survived. Neanderthals didn't survive. They're
Fake,
gone.
fake, fake.
So there's all kinds of other things. There's a lot of species that have gone extinct over, and even in our lifetime.
Okay.
There's these
What they do?
really dumb birds. They're kind of like chickens. I forgot what they're called, but somebody else might remember the name. But they're
Dodo.
sorry. Yeah, the
Dodo.
dodo bird. Yeah, the dodo bird is a contemporary extinction. It only went extinct recently, and there's a whole bunch of other species as well. And there's concerns about existing species now that are going extinct, and we're seeing environmental changes. So if we don't evolve along with our changing environment as a human species, we're going to go extinct one day as well.
We are actually, according to the Quran. But okay, so evolution, I do actually agree. Evolution is the natural enemy of Islam, kind of, or all religions. You know, it proves coincidence.
The natural enemy of Islam. Wow, that is an amazing soundbite. Please say it again.
Yes, it is actually a natural enemy of some of the proofs of Islam. You know that
No, put it in full phrasing. Say it again. That evolution is
evolution,
evolution is the enemy of Islam.
No, well, not like enemy. We're not gonna go kill evolutionary people that have, but it is like the enemy of Islam in a way that it disproves, right? Well, not really,
Wow.
but one of its evidences that there can't really be so many coincidences, right? One of it, and also if you ignore living creatures, you already got many coincidences for the Earth. But yeah, it is actually a national enemy of the proof of Islam, or a proof of every religion really that says there is a God. About that. There can't really be that many coincidences because evolution says that naturally things just evolve to survive in the nature, right?
Reality puts no imposition that I'm aware of on the total number of coincidences, but Islam would not exist if it was not for evolution. No. Hang on, because of evolution, you have evolution to thank for people being smart enough 1,400 years ago, approximately, to create Islam. And so, without evolution, there would be no humans. There would be no Islam.
Okay, look. You're not very happy about me saying that. I mean, I understand.
I'm happy. I think it's interesting that you think that evolution is the enemy of Islam.
I mean, I'm just agreeing with you guys. I'm being honest, I mean, if there was a proof for Islam, I would also be happy. So it is very natural to be happy about a proof of atheism, right? Very natural. Okay, what do you want, Amy?
Well, and I'll say I really am not trying to. I feel bad now making sarcasm, so I'm gonna try.
No problem.
Anyway, the reason. Well, and I'll tell you the reason why I do that is just because sometimes we hear things that are, in our opinion, are so silly that
I know
that is our way of venting, so to speak.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I get tempted as well by people making arguments, not really about religion, especially religion or especially religion. People can make stupid arguments, and it's tough sometimes to hold on and not laugh at them. But yeah, Islam tells us to be good people. So I'm restricted, Yeah, I'm restricted not to laugh at people.
Well, and I want to be a good interlocutor too, but
yes, very nice.
We're putting ourselves in public here. It's okay to laugh at us. Make videos and laugh at us if you want. It's fine.
No. I don't want to laugh.
Please link back to our videos when you do.
Yes. Okay. But okay. So yeah, it's if evolution is actually true, then it's actually the national enemy of one of the many proofs of Islam that things they can't really be too many coincidences. Like a phone, right? Someone must have created it. So yes, I do agree on that, but only if evolution is actually true. And if you watch that video that and sent to you, you will also agree that evolution is not true. That people have just been lied to, so people can.
Okay. So
Yeah.
this is a common thing. There's a lot of creationists in Christianity who are against evolution as well. Look up Ken Ham, and there's another guy who was in
Yeah,
jail
action
for a
natural
while.
element.
Dr. Kent Hovind. Yeah, these two are against evolution. But there is a question from our audience, and after you answer that, I'm going to pass it back to Amy. But Sydney Raptor in our YouTube audience is asking. Do you, the caller, accept that we are animals, even great apes?
I'm not sure about well. I think in like the Quran, it says that humans are special. We can choose stuff. But we got also animal sides. We can just go up to and listen to our lusts and everything and instincts and be like animals. But
I guess maybe I can clarify because I think I know what Sydney Raptor is trying to ask. Is trying to get through. Like, do you accept the fact that humans are a type of animal species, or do you think humans are separate from that?
I think they are separate from that. I think they are most definitely got their animal sides, but animals only go by their instincts. Humans, though, they have free will that Allah gave them. And in the Quran, it says, the people that follow Allah and stuff like that, they are generally the best of the creatures. But people that do not follow, they are the worst of the not all of them, generally, not all of them that do not follow and stuff like that are the worst of the creatures, so worse than animals. I'm sorry, guys, but not generally. I'm saying generally, not like totally. All right.
But can I make the appeal that evolution can't be the enemy of Islam? I mean, this is the only reason we talk about things like evolution, the Big Bang on atheist versus theist conversation is because it's the creationist proxy wars. They are the subjects that they can't oftentimes get into court, and so they're just things that they, peeve them. And so when it comes to evolution, it's not the opposite of atheism. You could be a Muslim who accepts evolution. Now,
Yes,
okay.
but not totally. Not totally. I mean, I'm not sure what Quran tells totally, but if you got evolution, it disproves some of the coincidences, or we can say so. Some of the Allah that Allah made it nice for us, uh, by Himself, planned it and everything. It disproves it, right? At least the coincidences out here on Earth. Forget about the universe and how the Earth is placed. About living things, right? A little bit it disproves, right, that it wasn't really planned. That's what evolution says.
Well,
It
it's an
wasn't really planned.
explanation. Instead of just saying it was raining really hard all over the world and a boat was, just cruising around with the last of the animals, it does explain billions of years, slowly but gradually, through
Well, I guess
subtle changes in populations, how we get the diversity of life.
actually yes. Well, actually, yeah. Yeah, you're true. Also, Islam accept. Yeah, actually, I have learned something new today. Islam also accepts a lot of sciences and stuff like that. I actually go right with it, right? But yeah, I mean, but now I know when I think about it, just naturally, if there is like evolution and just things evolve naturally, then there wasn't really much of planning for living things, right? If you just think.
Yes, planning actual creations are a new phenomena that all that we know of so far come from the branch that we call animals.
Yes. What you just say?
So far, the only creators that we know of come from a small branch of multicellular life that we call animals.
Yes. Evolution. Yes. I understand you. So everything evolved from them. You say even humans, right? If that's what you believe.
So from single-celled organisms, sure.
Yeah. That's what we believe. You believe.
I am
Yes.
convinced of that, yes.
Yes, yes. Okay. So, but the video, if you watched it, I mean, I really recommend it because it actually like disproves it outright, like just outright, the evolution thing. I mean, I really recommend it actually. That guy, I mean, I really love him because he's very like calm. Have constructive conversations and everything. You can watch that guy if you're interested. And I also for everybody that is atheist, I was also actually I was a Muslim and I actually left Islam, to be honest, and then I came back.
Apostate.
Hmm. What?
And you survived.
Well, I was out here in the West. Well, I mean, you can just lie about not being a Muslim.
Voila.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I actually left Islam and then came back. Wait, where am I? What the fuck? Yeah. Uh, but you can listen to this guy. Okay, and he's very nice. Okay. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I want to say things to atheists. Yes. Okay. Okay, so it's very important, I think, that you know and to think the truth, because there is a lot of religions that say there is like infinite hellfire and stuff like that. So you can just be rational, be logical. I mean, and if you think it's fun, you can just look at people. If you think they are stupid, you can stop watching them. You can look at them, research, literally just research. You can research Islam. If you think it's logical, you can join it. If you think it's illogical, you cannot join it. But I think it's very important for people to search the truth, because out here on Earth, we are living like usually max 70 years, and then there is death, and it's kind of scary, right? So you need to kind of seek the truth, and as people with religion, existential crisis is not really a thing, because you know why you exist, according to your religion. And if that religion got too many proofs and stuff like that, then you are kind of shinning, right? But as an atheist, it's kind of crazy, and people are depressed, and well, more than people with religion, and they go through existential crisis and stuff like that. So I think it's kind of important for people to seek the truth. Oh, yeah. And it is exactly because of the truth that I actually went back to Islam. Well, I actually went out of Islam because my family like forced me and stuff, which is not really Islamic. Like, well, I was very forced, and it's not really
You're
Islamic.
forced in or out of religion.
Well, I was forced to do many Islam stuff, right? Religion stuff. Too many, much more than what you have to do, and stuff like that. And also went through teenage. So I went, when you are a teenager, you go against your parents and stuff. So I went against my parents and became non-Muslim. But then, because of the truth, I actually I can tell it actually right now that mountains are like screws, right? Or something like that, stakes or pegs. That's what Islam tells, and it's actually kind of the case. If you search in Google right now, is like mountains longer in like deep the earth? It will say yes. And if you search it like where mountains are placed, they are placed, where two earth plates meet, and so it's kind of actually like truth. That's what got me back in Islam, all this scientific stuff, and there is too many actually. And also there's a video, I will send it as well. It's very nice, but there is one thing I don't like about it. Well, yeah, but when you become Muslim, whatever. I will send it. It's very nice. It has many proofs, it has animations and everything. It's very nice to understand and stuff like that. It has all the proofs, kind of scientific. I really love scientific and logical proofs and arguments and stuff like that. I love it. Wait, I will send it. Where can I send it?
Probably send it in the Heathen Hangout. But I'd also love to know, bruh, what would be convincing to you to change your mind?
I mean, if you give me like proofs that Islam is not the truth, and that it has contradictions and stuff like that, but of course I will first research it, because there is a lot of lies out here. Like when they pull out skeletons of supposedly human-like creatures, it turns out to be dongs and stuff like that. So I can't really accept it right away, because there is a lot of lies. But if you present me with a lot of proofs and Islamic scholars actually go over it and they can't say nothing to it, the smart ones as well. There's stupid people. But yeah, if there is proofs and I take some time, like I don't know, 1 month, and people actually say, and I hear all the arguments and stuff like that, then yes, I will leave Islam. Actually, if it says there is contradictions, if it says arguments that does not support it and stuff like that, but you understand that there, I mean, you get me that there is a lot of lies out there, right?
A lot of flies.
Yes, lies, just lies, purely lies. Like,
Oh.
yes,
I mean, if a guy says he cut the moon, either like into portion, even a small portion, or entirety, he is a liar.
okay, that argument, I actually have a very nice argument for it. Yeah, what's Randolph?
Oh, actually, we have a question from our audience once you're done addressing Amy's question.
Okay. I will address this. The one with not believing fantasy stuff. I really have a nice example for it. That now people go like, what? He went on a flying like horse or camel and went to the heavens and went to Jerusalem in like one night or something. People
I think
don't
it was
really believe that,
shrooms.
right?
Well, no, I would say any man who
They think the
claims
Barack was shrooms.
the Barack was shrooms, like he just had a trip.
They think he took shrooms and tripped balls.
What the fuck? What are you saying?
I mean, that would make a lot more sense than anything they've given us.
Amy, yeah, let Amy get back to her point, because I want to ask the audience question once you two are done with this
Well, yeah.
section.
Yeah.
And I know it's a baraka, it's a magical thing,
Trip.
but sure, but that didn't happen, and so thus Muhammad is a liar.
Okay. So we are now talking about fantasy stuff, right? That people can't really believe it. But okay,
Yes.
if we think about like two people in medieval times, okay, then one of them comes and says, "Yo, guys, do you know that later on there will be flying metal birds that carry people inside them, or that and then the other goes and says, what the fuck is this going on about? He's crazy." And then comes the third guy and says, "Yeah, he's always like this," or something like that. You understand? It's kind of hard to
Sure, but if
believe.
he was like an early, they might have not had mechanical engineers, but he was an
Exactly.
early. But if he was an early naturalist, he could be saying, "Well, listen, I have blueprints for it. Although it sounds crazy, I'm going to be building
No
devices."
problems. No blueprints. What you said? Blueprints. Yes. That one. Yeah, I know what it means. Actually, I just had difficulties saying. But
Yeah.
yeah,
The fact that you know two languages is always going to be greater than the fact that I butcher English. But it's just that I find it skeptical. I am suspicious of someone who said that they wrote. This isn't
understandable.
Okay.
Well,
Continue.
understandable that people have skepticism against fantasy stuff, but everything can be true. Everything, literally. Well, not really everything, but like a lot of stuff. And when you think about, when I give you this example, it's like it's very nice way of saying that things can be actually true. Like if you go way back then, there was just farming and stuff like that, and you say people have like take 4 hours to create fire, and you say something like people will be able to create well, not explosive, great aggressive fires that engulf everything in like a matter of moments and stuff like that. I would just look at you and be like, what is this? Is this guy crazy?
But those are also claims. He's not saying I have the
Yes.
contraption and I did it.
It is claims actually, but these claims are actually true. So claims can be true.
Sure. What evidence
Exactly.
do we have that Muhammad
What
wrote
evidence?
this
Very
speech?
very nice of you. There is a lot of evidence, evidences, and I will send the video. Where can I send the video?
I just posted in the Heathen Hangout.
Even
text.
Hangout.
Yeah, that's the one that Taco invited you to earlier. Yeah, he invented that channel too, but he also invited you to it. I'm just
Where
going to put up the while you do that. I'm going to read the question from our YouTube audience.
Yes.
Javier Jara, Javier Jara. I hope I'm pronouncing their name right. Is asking when the truth was established to other people besides Muslims. Like, when was the truth established to other people aside from Muslims? What is the scientific proof? So they're wondering.
Yeah, I will post the video right now. It's actually a very nice video. People can watch it and stuff like that. Very clear.
Okay.
It goes over it very clearly, and yeah, those are a lot of the proofs. Yeah, and I also have a
our
link.
YouTube audience, but go ahead and maybe answer that question if you've got a moment to do that.
Okay, I will try to answer it. That ant thing, that ants talk and stuff like that. One of them, actually. Ants have the most complex communications beside humans, I think. I don't really know, but yeah, very complex one. So, and they have politics and everything. That is one of them. We got the mountains thing. If you just go to Google and search are mountains deep inside the earth, you will find, yes, they are actually 3 times to 4 times deeper inside the earth, just like a screw or something. And if you look like a screw, not a screw, yeah, people trip over that, like a screw, what Quran says, or not a screw, stakes or pegs or something like that, something like a screw, I don't know. And mountains, where do they meet? They meet where two where do they form, or where are they? It's where between two earth crusts or two earth plates, and mountains are above they are a part of the earth plate, of the one above the one below. Wait, if you search just mountains,
We need to get Google Maps. That's my last joke. I'm done for the next 5 minutes.
But yeah, I'm a bad explainer, especially when using English. It's not really my own language, but you got a bunch of earth plates, right? Yes, and mountains are at the meeting points of earth plates, and mountains are above, in the a part of the earth plate of the one above the other earth plate. Yes, and they are deeper inside. So if I can just draw or show a picture or something, you will see that they are mountains are a part of the earth plate above the other one, which is lower, and they are deeper inside.
Are you trying to say this hints at tectonic plates?
What?
Tectonic plates?
Yeah, I think it's those. Yes, I think it's those.
What is the point of you saying this? Yes, we knew this before Muhammad. Muhammad copied this from other people. So what?
What are you saying?
We knew that
think so.
mountains were below the earth before Muhammad. Everybody knew that.
And where did you get that from?
The Greeks, the Egyptians, the Chinese, Mongolians.
Yeah, I mean,
Australians.
I get you. Some of them were there. I don't know. But Zakir Naik says something really nice about it. That even if all the proofs were 1,400 years ago, and they were what was it called? And they were accessible for someone random guy in the desert, and then he collected all of them. He can't really collect all of them.
Yes, he can. That's very easy. So
like
he went to cities where people talked and people knew this from all over the world. There's absolutely zero special. Nothing special about that. Nothing.
What the hell? He can't really say everything that is true, right? No.
Right.
He can't really collect everything that is like claims and everything.
Right. He didn't. You're right. He didn't do that.
True.
He just collected very obvious facts that everybody knew at the time, or that might have been
obvious facts.
Yep.
Like what? The Earth is not flat. That is actually, I think, Islam tells it's.
Yeah, we knew that. We knew that 2,000 years before Islam. That was an obvious fact. Yep. We knew mountains were before the Earth.
Okay.
Obvious fact.
Okay.
Yep.
Now,
we knew
I think
that
just
saltwater and ocean water.
your,
Or actually, they do mix. So he got that one wrong. That's an error he made. So yes,
well, it's not
none of the
actually
facts.
mixing.
None of the facts he presented were unique or interesting or special. Absolutely 0%
What are you
of the
saying,
content.
man?
It's not beautiful.
So
There's nothing scientific.
1,400 years ago,
Yes, that's
you say people believed
nothing about
believed that the
nothing
Earth
about
was
it
not
special.
flat, or
No, people did not
What are you
believe
saying,
the Earth
man?
was flat back then. People believed we knew the world was round way before then. Way before then, the
Okay,
Greeks
you're
knew the
just
world was
crazy
round.
now.
What?
You're
You
just
wanna
saying
you want-
false stuff now.
Okay,
Please back to the
whenever a
arguments.
Muslim says that's just false stuff, you just go to Google, type it in, and they're wrong. So let's see. When did we discover
Wow.
Earth was round?
1,500 something.
3rd century BC.
Yeah.
3rd century BC. Do you know what that means? That's
Wait.
1800 years
I
before
will search
Muhammad.
it. I will search it.
What? Okay. Earliest
Because
documented
I think
mention
you're
of the
just lying
dates
now.
are the Greek philosophers in the 3rd century BC. That
Oh,
would
damn.
be 1700 years before Muhammad. Pwned. Wrecked sun, destroyed sun. 300 BC. NASA.gov. Who figured out the Earth was round?
Okay.
Aristotle.
Even if this guy says it.
Wrecked.
Okay.
He's like, you're wrong. You're just making stuff up. And then Google destroys him. The perplexing of the Muslim apologists.
Okay, it's actually right. Okay, it's actually right. Okay,
Thank
whatever. You got it right. Okay, I will be honest. Okay, I will be honest out here. But okay, I don't think it was the popular one. Absolutely not. So, and I don't think people were knowledgeable enough or had enough science. And I don't think even this Greek guy had enough science to prove it. I don't know. I don't know though.
Aristotle,
I don't know. I'm saying I don't
didn't
know.
have enough science. The guy who invented science
I
didn't
don't
have
know.
enough science.
I'm saying I don't know. I'm being honest here, but it was absolutely not the popular opinion.
Your
And it
science
was
rating is too low.
okay, whatever, man. And absolutely not the popular opinion. And it was like the Greeks only, right, with this guy. And the Christianity absolutely did not say it. It said the Earth was flat, and it was the popular opinion that the Earth was flat. And even if these things were available back then, some of them, right, you can't really collect all the right ones, okay? Because it's claims, right? It's claims and not popular. And not in a single lifetime, absolutely not possible to collect all the right ones, and even more than that, even a lot more than that, like emperorology or something. I think it was absolutely not available back then. That Quran knew about the shape of the like baby, how it was shaped, and a lot of stuff about embryonology, and what is it called, I don't know, and like how babies are formed and how humans are formed and created in the bellies, or not created, how they are formed in the
To
bellies
jump in for 1 second, the claim for the Quran is that a fetus looks like chewed gum, right?
fetus. What? Chewed gum? Maybe, yeah. And also it evolves into a
That's
leech like.
Okay.
I don't know what you are saying, but it definitely says that later on it evolves into a leech-like thing, which is exactly true. And it was only discovered like I think it was 1950 or something, when they presented it to a like a doctor or something, and he controlled it. It was actually true, and this was 1,400 years ago. And there are actually too many of them. There's so many. I think it's like 1,000 verses. I think I listened to Zakir Naik, and he says something like this. It's about like 1,000 verses of scientific things, and the Quran is not really a scientific book, but yeah, it has 1,000 scientific verses, and everything it says is like true, and 20% or something it says is like not controlled yet, not confirmed. So like, yeah, I mean, that is absolutely not possible. Whatever anybody says to me, that somebody random guy from the desert can he can collect a lot of stuff of too many different things, and the travel time was like too much then. He can collect too many science facts and claims, not facts, even claims. And there was not really science was not really popular back then, so not too many scientists or anything that can prove it, and he can collect all of them, add some other ones, put it in the most sophisticated human literature that has absolutely no contradictions, and like people back then when they listen to the Quran, the best of the Arabic people, like Arabic literature guys, they just said magic or something like that. What didn't come from a man? Just gave up right away from saying that it was from a man. And most sophisticated human literature. And yeah, absolutely not possible. What you are saying is absolutely not possible.
So, just going to point out, there's nothing
Yes,
special about the Quran. It had
absolutely
information
fake.
that was relevant at the time. It was
No,
written
no,
by his
no,
most famous
no,
scribe. The Quran was written by
no.
Abu Bakr. That
What
is who
of? Okay, yeah,
it was.
that's just false information right now. Okay, but look,
Sure. Who wrote
you
the
can.
Quran?
Well, Allah gave it to the prophets through like angels and stuff like that.
Yeah, and
Uh,
who wrote it down? Because he couldn't write.
Maybe the people right beside him, but that doesn't matter
Let me
who
give
wrote
you
it.
a hint. Let me give you a hint. It rhymes with Shmabu Shmacker.
What the fuck? Okay, it
I'm
doesn't matter
sorry.
who
I
wrote
said
it.
I would stop jokes. It was Abu
Okay,
Bakr. There we go.
okay, but it doesn't really matter who wrote it. It matters who invented it. Okay, do you know what it's called? Why it's called the Quran or Quran? Do you know why?
Yes, because it means. Well, actually, I was going to say Islam
Recited,
means.
recited oftenly, right? So it's something to be recited. So the one who invented it has nothing to do with the one who wrote it. Literally,
And
literally.
you think that Muhammad is the first person who said, I think a fetus looks like chewed gum.
No, it's Allah who knows how things go. You know, because he's the one that created us.
Or
And yes,
scholars wrote it.
scholars wrote it. Is that what you said?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Do you know when that was discovered? Do you know? 1950. Yeah. So a random guy in the desert.
That fetuses look like chewed gum. Embryology's been going on for the past few hundred years, and we've known that it takes sex to make babies for much longer than that.
Yes, but people did not know a lot of stuff that the baby that's the baby evolves into a leech-like thing, you know, right? They did not know that. Absolutely not. Or I think it means also blood clot or something. Yes, people did not know that, and a lot of other stuff about mountains. He absolutely, it's okay. It's absolutely not logical, not possible that someone random guy from the desert can um, like collect all of these things, claims, even not even scientific facts, because there were not many scientists then. Claims, just claims, outright claims, absolutely not popular ones, and he has like to travel all around the earth, collect all of them, add some other ones,
No,
put
he
it in.
just needs to conquer other groups of people. If he can conquer enough people, he'll have many scribes at his disposal. Because he was
True,
illiterate.
but
He did not
they
know
conquered. Well,
how
they
to write.
conquered. Yes, but a lot of the Quran came before before they conquered a lot of different places, and also they did not conquer everything while Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was alive.
Sure.
Not everything, not all of the places,
Oh,
and
I
yeah.
get you, but he conquered enough places that he wasn't just in a desert and angels just delivered it to him. It actually
Was
was
actually
people.
kind of, and you know,
It was other people who wrote it, if you think
you
about it.
you actually proved it more now. They were very busy with conquering and fighting and trying to be alive, while you know literally started from nothing. They literally started from nothing and made
Once
a
again, I
great
don't
nation.
think you know what that word means. I'm trying to think of the quote.
Ah,
It's like
okay. Please don't
indestructible.
nitpick. Please don't nitpick. Like what the hell? Now I say nothing. I don't really mean nothing. Nothing. Like they started out from like not very strong, right? Yeah. Please don't nitpick. Come on, man.
Well, I can't help it. That is kind of how the
What the hell?
conversation was. You were telling us that that we believe that we come from nothing. Just to bring it back all the way full circle.
I mean, you're just nitpicking on me using some words that I mean different things by. Like
Sure,
when I say,
but everything that you're explaining is very possible. Yes, a small group of people, they were able to conquer a larger amount of people, and then from their supplies, they were able to conquer larger amounts of people, and he was able
yeah,
to conquer a large enough amount of people that there were scholars and scribes among them, and he was able to collect the
why
information
did
that
they
they were
start?
able to. Why did
Why
they
did
start one?
the scribes and scientists? Do you know why? Because Islam
Who told
actually
them to?
promotes science and everything, and also you literally just proved it more. Okay, so there was a random guy in the desert, and he
Uh-huh.
absolutely had no ways of collecting all these things, adding other ones, making.
Killing and conquering people, that's
Let
kind
me
of a
please talk.
strong motivator.
Let me talk. Let me talk. So this guy, random guy in the desert, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was there. He had absolutely. I'm now talking. Please, please. He had absolutely zero way to collect all these things from too many different places. Adding a lot of different ones, putting them in the most sophisticated literature known to man that literally challenges everybody to imitate it. But with all the haters, it hasn't been imitated for 1,400 years. And then they were actually busy with too many different stuff, like fighting and trying to stay alive because people want to kill them because they are preaching the truth and stuff like that. They were too busy doing that. He was too busy calling people out to Islam. He was too busy doing different stuff, and he literally did not have the time to make the most sophisticated literature and collect all these different things, adding a lot of different ones that did not exist before. I think
Can
also that there
respond to
is.
some of those? Because, it shows that he wasn't going around and collecting all these. He didn't write it. He did not know how to write. He got other people to do the work for him. They collected different facts of the day. There's nothing about the Quran that is out of place. It looks like a book you would expect to find 1,400 years ago. I do not understand. And every time we go towards one of the actual verifiable claims, like the Baraka or the talking ants, that becomes a miracle. So, in essence, it sounds just like the Christians.
Two questions from our
No.
audience I'd like to get to before we move on to our next caller, if that's okay with you.
Okay, wait. My dad wants to speak with me. Give me a minute.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll just quickly start the. Javier Jera has asked another question. In one verse of the Holy Quran said that God throws stars, static lamps in the firmament, to the devils. Does his God know that the sun is a star?
Yeah, and it just has, I know he's away for a second, but it just has wacky cosmology.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll just maybe I'll just put forward the other question, which is from Deconverted Man, who has a great YouTube channel, by the way. Is wondering why God doesn't join the Hangout and tell us all it's Allah.
I know, right?
Okay, so he seems to have disappeared. So what I think I'm going to do is I'll move him to the audience because we've got other people waiting. So thank you very much for joining us.
What's up? What's up?
So let's bring up Alan. That was an interesting call. It was a long one. Maybe when he's got his audio working, we can bring him back. So welcome, welcome, Alian. Am I saying your name correctly?
Yes, yep, you are.
Okay, your audio is a little low. If you could turn up your microphone volume.
Is it better?
That's much better. How are you today, and what brings you here, sir?
Well, unfortunately, right as I get in, my Instacart order is being delivered, so I'm kind of double doing two things at once here. But I think I've talked to you, Randolph, in the past. We had a decent conversation, I believe, about I think it was about the utility of religion.
Your voice sounds familiar. If you need to go and deal with that stuff that's in real life right now, we could talk to the next person and then bring you back after that. It's up to
That'd be
you.
great. That would be
Okay,
perfect. I
that's what
appreciate
we'll
that.
do. We'll move to the audience and we'll do that. I would love to talk with you. Well, welcome, mathematician. Hello. Thank you for joining us. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Doing pretty good. We had a rather long conversation there. It was interesting, though.
Well, my question's pretty simple, but and I think subtle. But what do you think the largest body of like organized? I guess how do I say this? What do you think the largest well organized group of atheists is, and what do you think? What do you think the goals should be of such an organized body of atheists?
I'm going to say American Atheists is probably the biggest one. They've got the largest membership that I'm aware of as an atheism group. And I know you're not asking about demographic in a country or something like that. For that, I would look at China for the largest demographic of atheists in the world. But the American Atheists, I think, and they are quite clear about their purpose on their website. They do call it a mission statement. I run an organization called Canadian Atheist. We chose to call it a purpose rather than a mission statement because mission statement sounds a bit religious. But that's a minor point. It doesn't really matter. They've you can go to atheists.org website, and it will and you can find on there the information about exactly what they do. They're pushing against religion and government and different things like that to try to promote atheism in the USA, and they do have an impact worldwide as well. So, and they're a great organization. I do recommend them. They were started by Madeline. I'm trying to remember how to pronounce her full name.
Madeline O'Hare.
You got it. Thank you, Amy. And so it was off to quite a good start. Unfortunately, her life was she was killed. She was murdered, and but it's unfortunate. Her and I think her family or her friends, and so other people had to continue with the cause. So we did lose somebody there who's great. But what should the atheism organizations be doing? Is the other part of your question. I definitely think presenting atheism in the best possible ways should be something that atheism organizations do. It's what Canadian Atheist does. I think that the promoting the ideals of equal treatment for atheists with theists in society. So that means no special treatment just because you believe in a god, for example, and no special treatment just because you don't. It needs to be equal. Like this is so it's trying to help bring an end to the discrimination. One thing that I'm doing with my organization is, and we're just very small compared to the others like American Atheists, of course, because we're fairly new. But we've only been around about 5 or 6 years, I think. But we're trying to bring an end to the vilification of atheists and atheism as a demographic, and to try to end the stigmatization as well. We're fortunate that in Canada there's less of this kind of bad ideals, or sorry, bad thinking, bad ideas, and bad attitudes toward atheism. But there is still a contingent of people here who have wrong ideas about atheism. So our work is still cut out for us. I hope this helps to answer your question, and Amy and Tom, if you have some ideas. I know Tom is working on trying to help people to resolve the homeless problem.
Well, I was gonna ask, like, I go to like this atheist group in my local city every month, and they recommended Atheists United, and someone else recommended American Atheists. I think that's what you said. I can't remember.
Yes.
Why is there two different groups that seem to be very large in the U.S., and which one has, like, do you believe has the better, like, motive, I guess?
Well, I'm not familiar with Atheist United, but even if I was, I would be kind of reluctant to compare and say which one's better. I'm going to just guess without knowing that they probably have some different focus points and have different goals. Because if they had exactly the same goals, I would think they'd probably just be one group.
Right.
And this often happens with a lot of nonprofit organizations. Like you can find groups of table tennis players, and there's a whole bunch of different groups doing different things. And sometimes it's a matter of regional access too. Sometimes these different groups will set up because of the people who founded them, where they're located geographically. And they know a lot of people locally who can be activists. Like we're a nationwide organization with Canadian Atheists. We started in BC, and I'm going to guess that does it make sense to you that Atheist United and American Atheists started in different states?
Yeah, it does. I think that would make sense. Like why I've heard one over the other. It probably is geographical. I just didn't know if there was like some sort of ideological divide within the.
I would say look at the purpose or mission statements on their websites and see if there is different focuses, and if there are, and you like them both, that you could join both, right? I always encourage people to join their national atheism organizations in their countries because it's good to support the organization for the work that they're doing.
And the only thing I just want to add on to that is that it's important that we find ways to replace the communities that some people have lost. And so, whether you're doing West Coast and East Coast, whether they are national or worldwide, we should be looking for ways to replace those communities because sometimes people don't actually want to leave until there's an alternative. They say, I'm leaving all that I have for what? And so it's important we show them that there are replacements, sometimes better than what they had.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate the answers.
Hey, thank you for coming up. I guess what we'll do, we'll try to go back to Balian here. Balian, sorry. Balian, if the timing's good for you, then come on up. Oh, how's it going there? Is this good timing to talk now?
Hi, is it my turn?
Yes, sir. Is this a good time to talk now?
Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem. Life happens. So how are you doing and what's on your mind?
Good. So I just want to say first off that like it really is interesting or like appreciated that people would understand the community, even from your circle would understand the importance of community that religion does help provide. And I think like everyone does need a community that they can be friends with and share kind of like a framework or a narrative with, so that they can get along and handle that part of their life. What I very rarely hear addressed by atheists, and I think I may have covered this before, but still not to my satisfaction. There doesn't seem to be anything. First of all, there doesn't seem to be an acknowledgement of the necessity for a prime directive, so to speak, or a fundamental like orientation and like a. Okay, so in order
Can
to
I actually?
I can
ask
address this
you?
after Amy.
Oh, no,
Go
you
ahead, Amy.
Well, I think sometimes, especially when you're on the outskirts of really having a different decision or a different outlook, you could say that we're giving up and going into like a full type of nihilism. I find that sometimes they say, well, what do we even have to look forward to? Why should we do anything? How can I have any should questions at all anymore? And that answer tends to be that's true. There is no atheist prime directive. There is never going to be thea and us getting together and just all kind of worshiping not a god. And so the hole that has to be filled is what is it that we're getting around that we can actually have friendly faces for, that we all agree on? A lot of times that's secular humanism. A lot of times that is maybe going against fundamentalist religions for atheists. But sometimes that's just croquet. We're going to the movies and something.
Okay.
That
So
was my
that's,
way to associate.
But
yeah,
just to
these
move on
are
that,
these are excellent points. I'd like to address your question as well. And so with secular humanism, as Amy mentioned, they do have this kind of ideals, and that's fine. Atheism itself is not an ideology, and so it's not something that naturally brings this kind of thing about. Now, people will often do this. You have your national laws. Okay, as an atheist, I follow the national laws, or I try to conform to them as best I can. On the CanadianAtheists.ca website, under profile, we have something called Code of Conduct. We've addressed this because it came up quite a while ago, and it says this. It might sound a little tongue in cheek, but it's actually right on the mark, because there's nothing in atheism that tells you how you need to behave or anything like that. So we'll say Canadian atheists and its members are intentionally without a code of conduct due to our emphasis on the promotion and advocacy for freedoms and human rights, which the freedom part is an artifact of being an atheist. The human rights part is kind of more, you're getting into humanism and whatnot, but human rights has become kind of a necessary thing for people who want to have that freedom to choose whether or not to be part of a religion. And it's very important that people do have this kind of choice. The rationale is, although many professional organizations have published code of conduct that communicate and clarify to their members various expectations of adherence to certain professional standards, the Canadian Atheists Code of Conduct would be problematic, as it would require introducing an element of exclusivity that does not coincide with the one and only principle of atheism, the absence of beliefs in deities, for which freedom is an integral characteristic, both fundamentally and also as a matter of natural consequence. Moral and ethical matters are generally determined freely and independently by atheists, typically on a case-by-case basis. The rule of law is an important factor as well, which we recommend striving to adhere to, but, like all ideas, is also not exempt from challenge or scrutiny in various forms. While the Canadian Atheist is available to provide perspective on various moral, ethical, and legal matters, it is important to not lose sight of the fact that individual atheists also tend to have their own personal perspectives to share, which may or may not agree with ours. We call this intellectual diversity, which we encourage as an integral artifact of intellectual freedom or free thought. So in my experience, the atheism demographic as a whole is probably among the most diverse throughout the world. And so bringing in a code of conduct or some kind of ideological type of thinking and goals that we should adhere to and fulfill doesn't really serve such a diverse demographic all that well, and it will create divides, which, to say that atheists are united now, I think is not really realistic.
they're not homogenous
because of the diversity. So
I understand that it's not a homogenous group with like a single book that they refer to. What I find
your volume just went down again. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I agree that atheism is a broad and diverse group of people. Some with more Christian morality, like the secular humanists, or more whatever you want to call it, and then some with more human-centered morality, and some with no morality. I understand this, but when you're phrasing when you were describing the Christian system as like a totalizing tyrannical system, or the Islamic system as like a tyrannical system that takes away choice from its members, you were implicit, and I think you explicitly also stated that choice and like the free choice of individuals is the prime, it's the most important value, right? So like anything that takes away the freedom of individuals you know, I'd assume you'd have a caveat in there for, you know, excluding behavior that would also take away the freedom of other individuals. So I can't be out there murdering,
Okay,
raping,
so
etc., right?
it is my preference, and it happens to be a shared preference among a lot of atheists, but not all atheists want everyone to have freedom of choice. There are some atheists out there I know of, and I have
Well, I'm specifically
talked to-
referring to your
Yeah.
point, your
Yeah,
position,
yeah,
right?
yeah. But it is
So-
something that's an individual choice, is my point. Yeah.
Sure. So, but at the same token, I think I think there's a case to be made that too much choice and too much freedom of individuals, especially who might not, you know, focus their entire life on the pursuit of the proper moral, ethical, or even like even just spending the time it takes to discover, you know, how one should live in the world, which has developed, like the study of that has developed through many different religions, and it's taken people their entire lives to figure this stuff out. I think giving too much freedom to that sort of, you know, like it's kind of like, you know, if we decided that all the piano teachers would go away and we just let everyone kind of fumble around on the piano, and then hopefully we get out to, you know, someone like Chopin. It's like, no, it's like there is a structure that these religions do provide, and a moral framework, and a justification for that and the axioms behind that, like the unprovable statements of faith or belief that undergird it as a system that works, right? That can provide people with a lot of stability and intellectual ability, or help them get through life, right? And not be overcome with anxiety and doubt and hopelessness and despair. And so I view like what I would consider a casual belief of just saying, well, it takes away freedom from people, as very dismissive, in the same way that I'd say if you're raising a kid without structure and the kid's like, well, I just want to be able to choose. It's like, well, you know, you don't have the framework or the life experience to make a difficult choice in a variety of areas. And I think therefore you have to defer to my judgment as your parent. And I think, you know, I'm not advocating for a celestial permanent paternalism, but at the same token, I think the belief that, you know, more free choice is always good. It kind of leaves people, because that's what anxiety is. Anxiety is a plethora of choices without any sort of direction. And so we're seeing upticks in anxiety across Western societies in general. Antidepressants, you know, all kinds of different prescriptions are flying off the fucking
You
shelves.
can have
And
anxiety
it's because
without,
they don't have a structure that they can fit into necessarily.
because you could have anxiety about something that's upcoming and you actually have no decision over it. It's just oncoming. But I would just say we don't have to throw out the baby with the bathwater. We can have structure. In fact, I think eventually we do it better than the religious. I'm not saying that they didn't have their uses. Almost every good that I see of religion is kind of a double-edged sword. Like, it's great to be part of the in group until you're part of the out group. It is
Right, but
great to
what-
have a moral code until there are certain arbitrary things within that moral code that just seem evil, and then we have nothing to do about it. And
Right.
so I'm not saying go anarchist, or just to go back to it, to go nihilist. I would say that we're just going to have to take time and energy from a secular perspective to figure out what works and then hone that.
So
How do you
there is.
maintain yourself in the meantime without a structure
Okay.
that as sophisticated
All
as
right.
Christianity?
Okay, so we do have social structures. We have we have our legal system. We have certain things people need to do. You need to pay your taxes, things like that. In some countries, there's a need for military service. The draft, I'm not really in favor of, but I understand why it's necessary in some cases, like in emergency situations right off the bat. But I don't really want to get into that. Because it's really off topic, but there are these structures in place already, and I do agree with Amy's point that having a lot of freedom is not necessarily the only thing that causes anxiety or root behind anxiety. We're going through a time in the world right now where more and more people are moving away from religion, and so what you're raising is an important point, because there is the need for, I guess, some kind of guidance and leadership stuff out there, some materials on it. And this is why, people writing books is a good thing because they can share their ideas. I know Dr. Jordan Peterson had a book called The 12 Rules of Life, which turned out to be just mostly quackery, but there are quite a few people who found value in some of the things that he said. Like, I don't see any value in petting a cat every day, which is one of his 12 rules.
Whoa. Can I interpret, like, because
Yeah, go ahead.
you're taking that quite literally, right? The meaning behind pet a cat, and I've read his book, and I think it's brilliant. That's like a baseline for how to organize your life, but the pet a cat every day is basically looking for reasons to be grateful and altruistic, and to see, like, to not it's sort of an antidote to resentment, in that no matter how bad life is going, you should take the time to still appreciate what's beautiful, to still care for what you can care for, right? Like, this is the problem I see with a lot of people criticizing Jordan Peterson. Is they take something like pet a cat every day. It's like, well, that's pedantic horseshit. And it's like, well, there's something behind that. If you read the chapter, it goes into, like, when he was at his darkest point in his life, basically when his kid was, what was it?
So the point I was really trying to make there is, and because that's something I know a lot of people are familiar with, because he's gained a lot of fame and attention for this stuff. The point I was trying to make is that people can publish these books, and then people can discuss these ideas, critique them, disagree or agree with them, and have conversations. I don't want to turn this into a Dr. Peterson conversation, but I just used it as an example. But and I did put my opinion in there. Yes, having this kind of resource is important, but we're going through a point where people are moving away from religions. So I do think that's going to create some trepidation and even anxiety for some people, because what religions they all seem to have in common, or almost all of them seem to, one of the things they seem to have in common is this characteristic of fearing the unknown. And with atheism, there isn't something that gives you reassurance against the unknown. So there's a paradigm shift in societies around the world. They're starting to people are starting to realize that the unknown is something they're going to have to contend with now instead of avoiding it, and that's I guess could be one of the angles that should be maybe focused on by some of these atheism groups. As per the point that you're raising, so a lot of people are afraid of dying, and they look at religion very often for, oh, there's an afterlife. Okay, so it's not going to be so bad after all. Which, unfortunately, to me, I think is not. I don't think that's a healthy way to deal with it. I think that's avoidance. I don't think it really deals with. It helps people to really come to terms with what death is. I don't look forward to death. I don't want to die, but I do know it's going to happen. So the way I look at it is, that means I have a finite time to do what I can do in this life, and I'll do what I can with it. Whereas with the religious teachings, people are thinking, oh, they'll be able to do so much more after they die because it's not over yet.
Right.
And
it's kind of a two-sided thing, right? So at the same one side of it is, you might just deal with or suffer through things that you could fix, because of course it doesn't all matter in the end if you're going to go to heaven.
Yeah.
Doing it. But on the other side, it can help people get through immense suffering that can't be avoided. And so that could be something. But
avoidance is still not as healthy as actually coming to terms with it, I think, in my opinion. Again, I could be wrong.
Well, and can I just inject in there that there's oftentimes in the deconversion process a second mourning, because they have to realize that they're not going to meet their mother, father, whoever they have lost. And it really does sometimes make people mourn death again.
Yeah, maybe. I don't doubt you for a second on that. I guess, like, you brought up social institutions like the draft, or one I would point to is our judicial system, which presumes that people are innocent until proven guilty. There's a lot of implementations of the axiom that people are inherently valuable. in our legal system, right? So like before, English common law, it was like, well, you could have done it, you probably did. You're not really worth enough to go into it. I mean, there's plenty of you, right? There's plenty of people. So if you probably did it, we don't need a trial. Let's just chop off your head and get it over with because you're not inherently valuable. Well, the inherent value is the core axiom behind the English common law system, and I hope we would all consider that system to be incredibly valuable, especially once you consider what's like being on the side of the system that's less sophisticated than that. But I can't find a justification for that type of system if the underlying axiom of the individual worth of every human is brought into the world of materialism, where I don't think there's a justification for that. I think I don't think you can justify the individual work or the Christians put the divine spark in every individual without some sort of appeal to the transcendent. And so just the reason I think this is a problem is that while these systems might maintain themselves temporarily in the absence of the justification to justifying religious structure, over time they're going to attenuate and they're going to go away. And this is exactly what happened in the 20th century when Nietzsche announced the death of God. Like that had been going on since the 1830s basically, but it wasn't until 1910 that everything started blowing the fuck up. And in the same way, I think that if we lose the religious structure that justifies these sophisticated systems, I don't think that they survive. And I think we go back to, mob justice or worse.
I don't see this happening in Norway, Sweden, in many of the successful secular countries that don't have a god as a backing for them. We don't need to lead towards anarchy. And this is honestly, it's this the 1,000 past years that we've had like a monotheistic structure. But for a good portion of human civilization, they didn't need this monotheistic, I'm watching you everywhere at all times God, and society was able to thrive. And so I think
Would
the
you like to
principles.
live back then?
No. So objectively, this is the best time period in history. Subjectively, we can all argue over it. Objectively, that is how it's kind of been moving. And so I would not pick any other time. I'm happy right here. But I think there's good evidence for that. And so
would you say that that's only because of the technological progress of mankind, or is that because of also
I
the
think
social
that's
systems that are based on these religious structures that protect your rights?
yes and yes. As in, we're starting to understand that our brothers and sisters can sometimes be different than us, and yet we all want to be treated the same under a legal system.
Right, but not
The
too
most
different.
popular governments generally, because actually there's some authoritarian governments, but I think that there are many secular governments out there that are doing a fantastic job. They have lots that we want to fix and work on and get better. However, I very much enjoy, and I think there's a reason for that success, and that these systems allow anyone, no matter what their religion, to come and speak their mind and us work together.
Okay, but what I'd like you guys to do is justify the English common law system or any other system with religious axioms without those religious axioms.
See, but all that came from Rome before them, and all that came from other civilizations before them.
The English common law system came from Rome?
Yes, most definitely. They were conquered by the Romans, and then eventually they were considered barbarians. You know that, right? For most of just like the Visigoths of Germany. But English were eventually summated. Different parts of the world have considered each other inferior and superiors. And now we're all touch and toe with each other with not that much land to discover unless we go out in space. And so we got to figure out how to all come together and work it out. Because there doesn't seem to be a God. There doesn't seem to be a God coming forward and saying our system was right. There's actually multiple of them.
We have one person in our we have one person in our YouTube audience also commented. Purple rhymes with orange is their name. They're saying that you can teach morals without religion, and I think that's true. There's actually evidence of that. There are
of course you just can't justify them.
Pardon?
Yeah, of course you can teach them. You just can't justify them.
Yeah, you can.
How do you justify again the presumption of innocence?
There are systems like now this comes later. John Rawls' theory of justice. He talks about that with the veil of ignorance and whatnot. That actually helps to justify it. So the thing is, if somebody's wrongly accused, what justifies it is that their freedoms are not being impeded. Like they're not being thrown in jail first and then expected to prove their innocence. Unfortunately, there are countries that put people in jail first and then they're expected to prove their innocence somehow. So yeah, actually, it is a better system. There are many ways to justify it. The veil of ignorance is just one of them. If I was living in and jail, the veil of ignorance causes us, it inspires us to ask questions like, what if I'm living in this kind of society and I got wrongly accused of something, and I found myself in the courts? How would I want to be treated? Would I want to be detained and not able to continue to do the things I need to do to keep my house going, to look after my family, and all the other responsibilities I have? Or do would I prefer to be out and then have that opportunity for the accuser to provide the evidence? And that's the way it should be.
Question.
Yeah, so that's justified because it doesn't disrupt people's lives and it doesn't make society a more dangerous place to live.
No, but someone could just say the exact opposite and say, would you rather have people who have likely committed crimes imprisoned, or would you like them to be free to commit more crimes in the future? You could ask the same. You could ask the opposite as well. In that, would you prefer the government to have to spend loads and loads of taxpayer dollars discovering innocence or guilt of individuals who are almost certainly committed crimes? Would you like those dollars to be redirected to help other people? Like, I mean,
So what that question is basically asking for is for a government to not take chances. Somebody might be guilty of this crime, so let's put them in jail just in case, and then that crime can't be committed.
Right.
That's not a society I want to live in, and I think that's a society most people don't want to live in.
Well, but why? Why? Because you feel like
it's disruptive to our lives, and it can it's like disruptive in a very terrible way that violates our right to freedom, and it takes away from what should be our life. Now think about it. You've got all these plans coming up and you're not committing any crimes, and somebody comes along and falsely accuses you of something. Next thing you know, you find yourself in prison for how long? 6 months, 2 months, a week? And then what happens to all those plans? What happens to your job? You lose your job because they need someone to do the work. They got to replace you. All kinds of things. You can't make your mortgage payments. You lose your home. All kinds of things can happen. Your kids are depending on you. You can't look after them because you're in jail for a crime you didn't commit because somebody thinks you might have.
Why does one presume that one matters? Like, why would I sit there and think that my opinion on anything or my desires or anything?
And I was
This isn't about opinion. This isn't about opinion. This is about living a normal life in a society that you don't have to fear your government. Now, if you're in a situation where your government is imprisoning people just because they think they might commit a crime or they might have committed a crime, and then, that's a scary place to live. What if somebody in power doesn't like you and decides to falsely accuse you? At least here, innocent until proven guilty, you're protected from that.
Also, I knew there was going to be a why and a why and a why and a why all the way down, because that's how why questions works. But we have a how here. We have a legal system in most governments of the world that generally protect against stealing, against rape, against murder. And so when I or any of us skeptics would turn that around and we would ask, why is it wrong to kill someone? I assume your answer is going to be because God said so. But
that's not my answer at all. But
are you? I'm sorry. I should have not presumed you were a theist. It seemed you were offering.
What is your answer? Why do you think? What do you use to ground morality?
What D-Dub said.
I would say it's not a single variable, but it certainly is the confluence of divine, like what we consider intuition of the divine, as like the imaginative substrate that leads us to be able to conceive of pragmatic solutions. But it's an interplay between both of them. So it's not just like, well, this seems to work, so we should keep doing it. But it's also not, well, God said so, so accept that, no matter the evidence to the contrary.
So you're
But
saying
can
that
I
you
just
ground it
add-
in
Oh,
feelings.
go.
You have a feeling, and this feeling you
Yes.
think is a divine feeling, and then that's how you ground morality.
No, that's not what I said at all. No.
Well, you said the imagination substrate, which is generally a substance, which I almost wanted to ask, do you mean it's within the realm of imagination? But answer T-Jubs as well. I'm sorry, I don't mean to.
And I will say that one of the most important justifications for not putting people in prison unless guilt has been proven is ethics.
Yeah, so just to be clear, the Romans conquered North Africa to most of Europe, and yet English common law, by definition, but obviously anything resembling English common law was only present in
I don't care
England,
about the
so
Romans.
just-
what is your answer to the question?
well,
How do you
someone made the
ground
point that
morality?
it came back. How do I ground morality? Again, it's a multivariate equation.
Well, no. So you gave
but
the
I
answer,
think-
which sounded to me like feelings. You have feelings, and you think these feelings are grounded in some kind of divine something or another.
No, so religion is, think of it like right hemisphere artistic, imaginative, like you get these sensations or ideas from that side, and those are kind of, the history of that is kind of structured through religion and art and so forth. But that's where these ideas come from initially. They're not or the we're geez.
Do you mean morality? Because
Never
morality does
actually-
not come from religion. In fact, none of those come from religion initially.
Well, but religions are codified systems of morality, right? So I mean, I'm not saying that they're the
They're
sources,
codified
so-
systems of immorality just as much.
Right. So
So is Mein Kampf, but I don't understand your point. How do you ground morality? And you're saying that, well, religion
it's
was
faith
written
in axiomatic claims. It's faith in axiomatic claims.
Okay, and so when you ask us, how do we ground morality? I could just say faith in laws of physics and be done, right? And now I have an equal grounds to yours, right?
Well, but I don't see how you justify any of our social systems with the laws of physics.
What?
I mean, that's insane. No one ever has done that.
Well, we do actually. That's most of them, like traffic laws and legal law systems, and most of them are actually grounded in laws of physics. But your question was, how do we ground
Not
morality?
primarily.
Right?
What?
That's actually literally what they're based on. But your question was, how do we ground
Presumption
morality?
of innocence is based in physics.
No, that's a legal law. I'm talking about traffic laws like physics. Why are there stop signs? Because of physics,
Right.
the laws of physics. Why do we have electricity limits? Because of physics. Why do we have housing sizes and size
No,
requirements for certain beings?
This is
That's
ought.
physics.
No, physics doesn't give you an ought. It doesn't tell
No,
you
no,
what
no,
you
no.
should do.
How do we ground the laws? We ground them in physics. I don't care if it tells us we should or not. We do it.
Yes, in the facts that, like, you're talking. Okay, there's two different worlds here. There's a world of like facts, like the discovery of what is, and then there's the world of morality, which is like what should be, right?
Yeah.
And you can't, like, is-ought fallacy, dude. You can't say
There's
that
no
we're
is-ought
getting.
fallacy there. So when you say you ground morality in axiomatic something or another, I can just use axiomatic something or another to ground morality too, and then I can make up oughts from that. So if you want to start with axiomatic, make up oughts, we can start with axiomatic, make up
Right.
oughts.
But all morality is axioms, right? At the base level, like, you can't justify
What?
a belief in the individual worth of a person when you ask 20 whys.
You can,
Right?
but
You
that's a
agree with
different
this, right?
question. So the question here is, you said you believe in God or something because of the subjective morality grounds, but it seems like you've just made up an axiom. And we can make up an axiom too, because you asserted that atheists can't ground morality. That's wrong. We can make up axioms just like you make up axioms. And if you think making up axioms is a way to ground morality, then poof, we've grounded morality just like you did.
Well, except if you claim that there's an objective source of truth which stands outside and justifies your axiomatic position, which is what the religious do.
Yeah, but that's just called making stuff up. So we can do the same thing, and we can say we can make up an axiom that there is an ultimate source of morality in a law of physics, and now we've done the same thing you did.
No, so but the difference is that when an atheist is going through this, typically they're not trying to compare. They're not extrapolating out the the effects of their axiom, like that's what religion really is.
I don't
It's
know
like,
what that
okay, we
means.
believe these. So
Which
we
axiom?
we
What axiom are you talking about that atheists are using?
so we let's how I view religion is basically like, okay, so we're going to assume these things to be true. Okay, what happens now? That's the religious pursuit, all of them, or ideologies, or anything, right? So we, Nazism, we're going to assume that our race is superior, okay, or that there's needs to be a strong national identity, right? And that's grounded in emotion, whatever right. So you start with presuppositions, and then you work your way out and develop them, right?
But-
So while I don't believe that atheists are incapable of doing this, I see nothing that that rivals, I guess, the traditional monotheisms. And in terms of like how detailed and
Wait, can you simplify this for me? What is it that
Yeah.
grounding this made up axiom in a god does that grounded it in a law of physics doesn't do?
Well, so you gave it the traffic laws, right? So like the reason we have traffic laws is because force, right? Well, one of the reasons, right? So you're gonna fly out your fucking car if you smack into another, die. But the physics isn't actually the reason that we have the traffic laws, because like we have to believe first that human beings are valuable enough to stop.
Right. We agree on that part, so we can
Right.
skip that part. So we both agree humans are valuable. There are moral principles that exist, and then you want to say you ground them in God, I ground them in nature. Like I say there's a law of physics that is the normative law of physics. We just haven't discovered it yet. So it's like a ought law, I guess you could call it. Now, why is that? What does the God do that on law of physics, that is a moral law of physics, does not do?
Well, they would be interchangeable if you basically, they would be interchangeable if it's like the Bible is trying to discover what God is more than it's trying to dictate what he is. And in the same
so mind
way,
has
like
no
if
mind.
there
Like
was,
the moral law of physics, no mind, no intentionality, no communication. It's just a law of physics, like gravity.
Right.
So why can't I ground morality in that?
Well, because if you treat it like a law without any sort of personal relationship, then it doesn't really work.
What?
There's a massive component of the Christian God and most other of personal relationship, as if it can be bargained with, as if it has its own will, as if like, and whether or not these are actually true, whether or not this God even exists, it certainly maps really well onto like life. Like,
Okay, I'm not following. I'm not
believing-
following what you're saying. So why is this personal relationship thing important? Because I don't need that for any other laws. Like gravity, no personal relationship, it works just fine. Electromagnetism, just fine. Why can't morality be like gravity? And it's there and it affects everything, whether we realize it, whether we talk to it, doesn't make a difference. It's there. It doesn't care if we talk to it.
Well, because there's a personal, like, okay, so it's not, those laws don't really define how we should live our lives, right? So gravity's only input on how we live our lives is like, for the casual person, is like, okay, don't go high up and jump off something, right? It's like, well, that's insufficient knowledge or that's an insufficient blueprint on how one should construct the
Right.
proper
So
life.
in this case, the moral law is just going to tell you all the facts. These are the moral things. These are the immoral things. End of conversation. Doesn't tell you how you should live your life. You can then use those facts to know, okay, so this is moral, this is immoral, and I don't want to do immoral things, so I can choose to avoid those. But I don't care about that. The law of physics just says, here's a list of all immoral things. Here's a list of all moral things. You're done.
Well, I mean, it would be nice to. The problem with that is that you could just be a closeted tyrant and just be trying to build a charity fund, right? So I mean, like
Well, this is a
your
law of physics, so
motivations
it would
could be
objectively
negative.
exist. You wouldn't get a say in it. It's a thing that's actually there. You can't change it. You can't affect it. It's existed before all humans did. You don't get an opinion on it. No one can manipulate it. Everyone can verify it. This is not so. It's no subjective manipulation by tyrants. We don't care about that. This is just a thing that exists like gravity.
Right. So I mean, if you could like, that's part of what the Christians believe God is, right? So I mean, like, if we can bicker about the details, but it like that would also serve as like an objective, something you could objectively appeal to, I guess.
So atheists can ground objective morality.
but that you can't you can't what's the word I'm looking for? You can't
Provide evidence that exists.
it's not. I haven't seen atheists ever flesh out what the implications of that would be
I don't know what that means.
for human behavior. So like there's people look at the Bible and they say, well, like this is trying to be a scientific document. Like the previous conversation you had with that Muslim guy, right? Like he was like, well, there's no way that Muhammad could have known that mountains screw between tectonic plates. It's like, well, yeah, there is plenty of ways you can know that, and even if there weren't, that still doesn't demonstrate that he went up in a chariot, right? From a scientific perspective, that's insane.
Well,
right?
go back
No,
to this. You said that you haven't heard an atheist flesh out the implications for how humans should live or something like that. Why does that matter?
Right. So,
like, I don't think
well,
that matters, because I can just say, here's objective morality. Here are all the facts in the universe that determine what objective morality is, and then I could figure out how that implies how we should live or whatever. But who cares? I've given you objective morality. I don't need to do this extra work of applying it to human lives. Like, who cares about that? I answered your question. We have objective morality.
well, again, the one of the primary pragmatic necessities of human morality is implications on the behavior of humans. And like a way to like map your life, like that's a massive part of the utility of religion. And
wait, so
you can say,
are you asking that how do we provide a morality that is equally has as much utility or works as much as the religious one?
well,
Because I thought you
sort of,
specifically said
yes.
earlier, you said you didn't care about the pragmatic, you didn't care about saying this just works, so we should do it. You said you didn't care about that.
Well, you can't intellectually justify it based on that. Well, you kind of can actually. Maybe I misspoke. Like there's a mass, like there's I don't want to say Darwinist, but like there's a phenomenological line of thought that just says, okay, we're gonna assume what works for human behavior is true, right? What regardless of like any evidence for it, I guess, other than that, like a purely pragmatic stance. And I can't really. I would say that I can't really argue against that. So maybe I misspoke there, but what I do believe is that if atheists, and I think you've done some, I remember seeing your website on the Transcendental Church or the Church of what's it called?
Best possible world. Yeah.
Best possible world. Yeah. So like that, you're making an attempt there to like to give people that pragmatic, guidance on how they should live their life.
Sure.
And right. And so like I think that's nothing but admirable in that at the very least, you're not just dispensing with God and with religion and then saying, well, we don't really have to have any sort of transcendental direction or even like structure for ourselves. And then basically all that leads to is just wanton hedonism, nihilism, tyranny, like all that stupid shit. Right. So
Yeah, no, the nihilism.
Sure, but I think all
Right.
atheists have some ideology behind their atheism. They just said the God isn't, you don't need a God for an ideology. So most are humanists, most are rationalists, most are empiricists. They provide an empirical or epistemic or worldview behind their atheism. They just say you don't need a God to do any of that stuff.
Well, okay. So I guess a secular way I could communicate one of the ideas behind God is like, whatever is at the top of your value structure is God to you, right? And Christianity is trying to discover what is best put in that superordinate position.
Yes,
right?
And the question
That's
is,
one
why
aspect of it.
is nature not a better answer than God?
Well, because nature, there's no will in nature. Nature is like God has to reflect the human capacity
No,
to
it
interact
doesn't.
with the natural world.
Nature doesn't have to care about us at all. It can, and the fact that
I'm not saying nature does.
Well,
I'm not
right,
saying nature
right,
does.
right. So I'm saying
but-
nature does not have a will, and it seems to work just fine as a grounds for everything God could do. Morality can do without a will. Reality you can do without a will. Human interaction you can do without a will. You don't need a will for anything. There's
But
no
again,
reason to add the will.
Phelan,
You already
respond,
said you
but
already
then I
said
wanna
that you
ask you a
can't ground
question,
that like you also can't ground any axiomatic belief system what the proper human behavior is.
No, yes, you
in
can.
that
Yes, you can.
either.
Like I already did that.
Okay,
So if I
Go
have a
ahead.
law of physics,
So why shouldn't I compete as ruthlessly as possible for all resources that I can, lying and cheating whenever I can get away with it in order to accrue more resources to myself, and just behaving as a complete naturalist without any sort appeal to a transcendental.
Well, you wouldn't be a
morality.
naturalist in this case because there's a natural law of morality that says you would be violating these laws or going against them when you would be being
Which
immoral.
are?
The laws of morality.
Oh, so you're still positing like that nature can provide this objective law?
Yes, like it does with all the other laws.
No, but those laws don't tell you how to behave. They just tell
No,
you.
no,
what
no.
it
Again,
is.
I don't need that. I can say this law of morality has a list of all moral action, a list of all immoral action. Now it tells you these are right and these are wrong. Now you can then take that and say, I don't care, which we do with any law, whether we care.
Right.
The laws don't care if we care. So if morality has a set of moral actions and a set of immoral actions, it doesn't care if we care. And so you shouldn't do the immoral actions because they're immoral, just like you shouldn't jump off a building because you're going to fall. I can just say, here are the implications of the law and how it interacts with the world. And you're going against that. You're making the world a worse place, moving it further away from the best of all possible worlds, which
Right, but
has
if
the
there's
same.
no evidence,
What?
if there was no evidence for the reality of these laws, right? Like then it would be foolish for someone to go along with it.
But Bailey,
Oh,
this
the
is-
irony!
No,
right.
okay.
No, I get the irony. I get the irony. Right. So like
Well,
I would say that
this
there's
is-
plenty of evidence
Well,
in the Christian
no,
worldview,
here-
not for the objective existence of a divine being as scientifically provable as God, but for the veracity of the implications of the Bible on human behavior, which I think like what the Bible says you should do seems to work out.
But you have to understand, from our point of view, it is a bunch of people, just us. They wrote a bunch of shit down. They thought was their, it was just how they felt about things. It was their opinion, and then they said, "This is objective. It comes from God." And then we get presented this, and they go, "Look, this is where morality comes
Right,
from."
and it's just trust me, bro.
And
I gotcha.
we,
right.
yes,
So-
and so from our viewpoint, we don't have an objective moral system unless it comes from a non-theistic worldview. And so Tom is a moral realist. We have many moral subjectivists, and I'm somewhere in between. I think there is some grounding, some objective grounding to morality. And we're trying to figure it out. But what I really just have to get off my back, and I'll just hand it back over to Teach Up, is just, it is just odd to get, you're just making it up. Because from our perspective, that is the entire thesis of what is being presented. This is basically Paul's morality, because Jesus never said a goddamn thing. And so these people are latching on to a bunch of things that people read around, campfire stories with the Jews, and then it's Paul's greatest hits that he wants to make a new religion with.
So I understand. So and just to be clear, you're saying I'm doing the same thing. I'm just saying, trust me, bro. Like Christianity doesn't present any sort of objective scientific rationale for why God has to exist, right?
It
I
works,
totally get
whether it came from a human or apparently a god. It came from someone, and you're just saying it works. So why shouldn't we?
Well, I mean, so first of all, you can say that thoughts come from you, or like inspiration comes from your brain. But I think the evidence for that is it's not 100%. So there could, whether the distinction between human consciousness and the divine, I'm not sure that needs to be as strong a distinction as modern people make it out to be. What I would say though is that if you view the Bible not as a pastor trying to tell you what to believe, but these biblical stories, especially in the Old Testament, as like trying to discover is trying to abstract the concept of God or what should be put in the highest ethical place from a set of stories of heroic people, then I think you're kind of closer to the intended purpose of the Bible. So like you look at Jonah, and this is, again, I'm getting this perspective largely from Jordan Peterson's work on religion, but he draws from, plenty of different other people that I've read. So it's kind of, it's not, this isn't me, just to be clear, right? But the Jonah story is basically comes down to like, okay, he's told to go to Nineveh, something in his conscience told him to go to Nineveh. He didn't go to Nineveh because he was afraid they were going to kill him for saying, hey, you guys are behaving poorly. And then terrible things happened to Jonah because he didn't go and say what he needed to say, right? And so like in there is the implication that the divine, one facet of the Christian God is that voice in you that tells you what, like, you need to say something here. This is wrong. There's something going wrong here, and you need to let your voice be heard here, and you don't. And then it's like God turns on you if you don't say what you should say, right? This is like one of the reasons why free speech is so important. But anyway, like, if you look at all the biblical stories as like a bunch of people around a campfire trying to discover what what if put in the highest ethical or in the highest level, at the highest level of importance, will properly orient someone's life. That's kind of it. And so, like,
But I hear
get
what you're saying, but
Yeah.
if we're gonna go that far into, I like when theists start to become more metaphorical. You know, for all the bants I could give about him, I would rather theists go from a fundamentalist to a more metaphorical approach, because at that point you're just saying, here's a book that I think you can learn some things from. I think that's at least more honest than this is the objective moral code from the all up above.
Right. Okay. So, and I would agree with that in a sense, and disagree with it in another sense. So, I would agree in the sense that if force is justified from like a government, if you disagree with this book, then that can be used for all sorts of nefarious purposes outside of the actual purpose of the book. Which I think I don't think atheists go so far as to typically go so far as to believe that religion is only a conspiracy by like the ruling class or something else, some other group of people to like dominate their fellow man, right? Like there's too much in there that doesn't pass the smell test as the opiate of the masses, like hell. Like if you were trying to make the opiate of the masses, you wouldn't put hell in that thing, right?
Well,
Obviously, like that's dumb.
Can I go by most spiciest? Because I don't think it's a conspiracy. I mean, the other C word that I would use would be cults. Not
Sure.
in the ad hominem way, but as in we are taking leaders, oftentimes, we're taking orders, oftentimes from leaders that have been dead for hundreds, if not thousands of years.
But I want to disagree there
Right.
and say you would actually add hell. If you want to create an opiate for the masses, you would want to use a book that is a collection that will utilize every fallacy in the human brain that is compelling, like appeals to authority, weighted biases, strawman, every single fallacy.
The worship of an individual who literally died on a cross in the most horrible way imaginable. Like that's the person that you're going to point to as being like the most transcendent individual if you're trying to make
Well, no.
some
So again,
shallow
I don't care
opiate.
about the characters. They don't matter. The story doesn't matter. Any holy book that you're going to try to make as the opiate to the masses, you're going to use every fallacy that human brains are weak against.
Sure.
So that's why, like, what is it? The Scientology book does the same thing. Why?
Right, but you're implying that the Bible does nothing but use fallacies to like.
I don't care about the nothing. I
See-
care about, will any holy book use fallacies? Yes, all of them. Will it include things like hell, which is a fallacy? It's a weighted bias in order to try to motivate people. Yes, it will. That's a good idea. If you want to make an opiate for the masses, having a threat of hell is a very good idea because human brains are susceptible to believe that garbage and be afraid to do stuff because of that garbage. So yes, you would include hell in the opiate for the masses every single time. Yes.
And in support of what T Jump is saying here, if you put more fallacies in that are all quite working at different angles, you will be able to appeal to a larger audience.
Okay, like
Because different things appeal to different people.
Listen, I'm not going to sit here and argue that. I'm not going to sit here and argue that point because I think if we could hash that out in like 5 hours, but that would require like going through like.
Yeah, we don't have 5 hours.
Right. So like, but the point I was trying to make with that was that, if it's more of a discovery now. Oh yes, why we don't like fundamentalism. So on one hand, there is the problem with fundamentalists in that they will try to kill you, tell you what to think, and they will try to manipulate you and lie and do whatever they can to get you.
And they've got God on their side. They're using religion to justify that. Atheism doesn't provide anything they can use to justify that.
Well, certainly it does. Okay. Well, again. Never mind. So on the flip side, there is that unsophisticated, what I would consider to be unsophisticated, literal style of Christianity, of religion, is not as insane as people can be. To put it mildly, like at the very least, listen, I'm not going to sit here and defend it. It's certainly not optimal. And so yeah, I think trying to interpret the biblical, or I've only looked at the Bible and maybe some parts of the Torah, Talmud, excuse me. But when people literalize things, what they're essentially doing is like saying, my interpretation of this is the interpretation. Because if it's literal, then like there's only one way you can interpret it, right? So it's like it doesn't. I don't like people saying that their interpretation of these books is the correct one, and therefore I'm basically just saying I don't like fundamentalists. I don't know what the f- I'm saying.
Ramen. Hey, we can
I
agree on
don't
that.
think anyone likes fundamentalists, right? Like,
Time for some noodles.
right. But at the same token, like there's a lot of real good.
Fundamentalism, those extremist fundamentalists, that is primarily a social problem. Religion gives them something that's very convenient to latch onto, though. And one of the big problems with religion is like people come along and say you can't have morals without religion. Well, by the same token, then I will say you can't have immorality without religion. You know, why should it only be a one-way street with that? It's because the problem is that religion introduces moral and immoral things. Like the whole concept of flooding the entire planet in Christianity and killing everybody on it. People, babies, children, kittens, and ducklings, and everything else. And not to mention all the fish that are suddenly dying because the water's changing so much. This is like killing people by drowning. Drowning's a horrible way to go. If this God is so powerful and can do all these things in an instant, why not just wipe everyone out in an instant and then you have no suffering? So
that's a good point. But can I just
so to me, this is actually, and this is not the only one. There's another one where the father is ordered to go and kill his own son, and there's all kinds of really ridiculous things and horrible things. There's threats to force people to do cannibalism, eating their own daughters. There's a whole bunch of atrocities in this book. Like if someone's going to hold this up as a moral guide, then I question their sense of morality, because these are horrific atrocities that don't actually help humanity. If this is the God you want to worship, what's this God doing for humanity? This God is abusing. This God is an abuser. We shouldn't be following something that's doing all of this stuff. This is really bad stuff. We can do better than this as a human species. We need to let these old things go and replace them with better materials.
Okay, so but implicit in your claims of the Bible doing these things is that you understand the meaning behind these things, or that they are literal events, or
I don't care about the meaning. The fact that the Bible
literally happened. You believe
that
literally.
The father was ordered to kill his own son.
Right,
that
you literally believe that.
To use cannibalism or to force people to cannibalize their own daughters,
Right,
or
you
to
literally
kill
believe
everybody
that.
by drowning. These are horrific things. The fact remains, innocent people, innocent bystanders are being dragged into that according to the Bible. I don't care what the meaning is. That is a horrible, horrible thing, and it does not fit my moral purview. I will not accept it as a moral guide in my life.
Okay, so again, you're taking these stories and then interpreting them in the most literal and like easily to defeat way, and then you're saying that the God is therefore judged by that morality, right?
Yes.
And it's like
I judge him by his immoral acts.
Okay,
because he is a horrible, horrible character.
Can you imagine for a second if those stories were interpreted in a less than literal way? In that, for instance, the Abrahamic story where he's told to sacrifice his son, right? First of all, God doesn't make him sacrifice his son.
That's child abuse.
But second of all,
actually happened. The fact that something made that not
could there not be meaning in that story?
I don't care what the meaning is. The
Well,
meaning
then why are you
the
in religion? Because
the primary meaning that I see in that story is that it's promoting child abuse and child sacrifice.
Okay.
Those things are horrible, horrible things.
What other meaning could there be?
There are better ways to teach people than to use horrors like that.
What other meaning could there be in that story?
I don't care. The fact
Okay, well then
that-
why are you talking about it? Because if you're not open to discovering more about it than you already know, then you should just stop talking.
No. You don't get to decide that. I decide the morality aspect for myself. And the problem I have with the Bible is all these horrific stories. If God is supposed to be omniscient, to know everything and be so wise, he could have written better stories. He could have avoided all this atrocious crap and phrased things a lot better so that people don't have to argue for ages about context and interpretation and understandings and misunderstandings. You know, this stuff is a complete mess.
There's a large tradition of child sacrifice in the that's an inherent part of Christianity.
Yeah, and it's a part of
really
human history.
Where else like
it's
where are we
part of human history that we've moved on from in most modern societies.
Justified by the Abrahamic story?
Drag it right back in because people refuse to change and update the Bible.
Listen, I don't want to debate this with you because
That's fine, but I've given you my reason why I will not accept Bible as a moral guide. It fails miserably, in my opinion.
Okay, so here's what I think might be missing from the discussion. I guess since you don't believe the Bible or any religious text, I'm assuming it provides an absolute framework. Then I would ask, what ethic or moral set of beliefs, or what would you place at the top of your moral structure as like the most important things to achieve and to go for?
Well, one thing I find very appealing is John Rawls' Veil of Ignorance in his book, The Theory of Justice. That's contemporary as well. And then we've got human rights code and things like that. So I look at those as very important. Like, you know, I don't think we need to use horrible, angry scare tactics of,
we have to use something else, right?
Of atrocity to teach people. There are different and better ways to teach people. Like, for example, we're finding as time goes on as a human species that punishment doesn't work as effectively as rehabilitation. So modern prisons are starting to move over toward rehabilitation. We're not seeing that in certain countries at all where it should be happening, like in the US, or we're hardly seeing it there. But here in Canada, we're seeing it, and we're seeing it in countries like the Netherlands where they've gone a lot further with it than we have even here. And the results are very, very good.
You're not answering the question I asked, which is
maybe I missed it. Go ahead. What's your question again?
Well, the Bible posits as something like the spirit that calls you forward into like out of safety into the wilderness. That's one facet of God. Your conscience, like your internal compass, that's, you know, the still voice within. That's Elijah's facet of God. They're like the voice that tells you that something's going wrong in the world. The belief that you should take on as much responsibility and burden as possible, as Jesus did. You know, taking weight of the sins of humanity onto his shoulders, dying literally, and then going to hell, like just the ultimate tragedy. You know, like taking on the weight of the world is a significant part of the Christian, or of that a significant facet of that highest ethic. So, like, what would you place as the highest ethic?
Well, you asked Randolph a question, but when you're done, Randolph, I just want to ask another one.
I don't have one highest ethic because to me, ethics and morals are situational. So it depends on the situation, what works the best. The veil of ignorance when we're dealing with social matters is very important in running a society.
Right, but so would you say it's situational for people to take on, or have a moral duty to take on as much responsibility for the world as they can bear? Is that situational?
question seems a little vague to me. We're all Tellarians. We're all inhabitants of this earth, so we all benefit by making the earth better.
No, but
there are people with
do you believe it's a
different
moral
views.
injunction?
There are people living in situations where they don't have the luxury of trying to do things that are beneficial to the entire world because they're having enough trouble surviving as it is.
No, but they basically to do all with what you have that you can. That's what I'm saying. Regardless of what you have.
Because to save the world, as you said earlier, they can't. Not everybody can do that. I can't. I'd like to, but I can't. So I wouldn't want to impose on somebody something that's going to make their situation even worse or more difficult for them unnecessarily.
What you're doing is you're saying, well, I don't have I'm not Elon Musk, so therefore I can't change the climate, save the planet. And it's like, well, but
Elon Musk can't save it either, I think. But
right, that's fair. But at the same token, what I am saying though is that I'm assuming you believe that everyone should do with what they have, or should do the best with what they have in trying to reduce the suffering of their fellow man, trying to plan for the long term. You know, like I think that's it has to be one of the axioms of T-Jump's church, right? It's like, wouldn't you say that one of the foundational moral injunctions behind your church is to reduce the suffering of your fellow man as well as you possibly can with what you have?
No, I don't know what that means. So my ultimate moral is any involuntary imposition of will is immoral.
That was the joke I was going to make.
And it's quite, and that's actually quite a good idea that T-Jump is putting forward, and I almost completely agree with it. I like it a lot. So these things are well intended. There's a saying that the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So again, there's different situations where these kinds of attitudes don't always work. I want to reduce suffering, but if somebody is going to come up to me in the street and attack me, I'm going to defend myself, and I may have to hurt them to do that.
Right, obviously. So
it's
let's
situational
say,
for me. I don't have one ethic at the top. I can't tell you that I have one of those because it's situational for me.
Listen, man, would you say that if someone had $1 billion and they could, with one stroke of their pen, save 100 million people? This isn't how it works, but let's say they could save 100 million people from starvation tomorrow, or they could go buy a beach, buy a few islands, and just live an absolute life of luxury. Which would you say would be the moral decision?
Yeah, or ride in a submersible.
Right. So which would be the moral? Would do you believe someone would have an injunction to do or do you believe that there could be a situation where the latter would be justified?
By my standard, I think that the better choice is obviously to save more people. But this is starting to sound a bit like the trolley problem.
It's nothing like the trolley problem.
So the moral
there's no people on one side or the other. There's all the people on one side, and there's no people on the other.
The moral thing to do would be to help the people. Yes, moral thing to do would be to help the people. But that does not mean it's immoral to not help them.
Yes, and to put
the Christian perspective is that it is,
and to put an injunction on them would be to force them to do it, and I'm against that.
That would be immoral.
So you believe that if someone has accrued billions and billions of dollars, that would be completely moral or not immoral?
Amoral.
I should say.
It's amoral would be the term.
Amoral. Okay, so, and you're fine with amorality? You're people.
Yes, people can be amoral.
Okay, so do you think that? Okay, so if your children, so you would be fine with your children starving to death, despite someone having infinite resources to be able to save them, solely because it was not their choice to save them?
Yes, if they didn't create the situation, they are not obligated to save anyone.
Okay, so then I'm assuming you're completely fine with a small set of individuals accruing all the world's resources, killing everyone, replacing everyone with artificial intelligence.
Killing people is bad. So what I would say is
letting them die. Letting them die.
The problem is the world, not the people. So the problem is that there is a world where people can starve. That's immoral. It isn't rich people who aren't saving others that's the problem. The world is the problem.
But if they can do something about it,
they should
do something about it, right?
It's moral for them to do something, but if they don't, that's amoral, not immoral. It would be immoral for them to deliberately kill them, but they aren't doing the killing. Nature is doing.
Okay, well, I just don't understand how you can accept amorality.
I can do something about it.
So acceptable.
I can sell my house and give my money away, and that can help a lot of people as well.
No, but
Not as many as a
no,
billionaire, but I'm
This is
not
ridiculous.
willing to do that. I've got limits because I've worked hard to get to where I am, and I do some donation, but I don't donate as much as I probably could, and then sacrifice a lot of my own lifestyle. So should I be donating more?
Right. No, I'm not saying that you haven't. There should be a moral injunction for you to be an ascetic and give up worldly possessions.
So
What I
why
am
should somebody
saying,
who has more money have an injunction and I shouldn't?
because in my hypothetical, it was basically you can take your resources and save human lives or not. The real world is not that simple, right? That like there's no. I have to see some detailed evidence for Elon Musk being able to do more good, I guess, net good, spending all his money on African immigrant or African lifestyle and quality of life and disease reduction than doing the things that he's already doing, right? It's a multivariate comparison that's very difficult to make. And so to say that he's immoral or amoral, as T-Jump would put it, or not sending all his money straight over to Zimbabwe, I think is ridiculous. In my hypothetical, I was making the world that simple so that we could discover what your underlying moral beliefs are. And in doing so, you revealed that if you had nothing but surplus, your fellow man had nothing but suffering and want, that you would be completely comfortable with just leaving them where they are without any sort of other variables in the. And that, I think that's anti-Christian in a fundamental way.
No,
I think there are good reasons why that should be anti anyone who's a good person. Like I don't believe you can be a good person.
So,
believe that.
all right. So I did not say I would be perfectly comfortable with that. In fact, I told you that I think the better choice is to help those people, even though they don't have to. What I'm opposed to is forcing them to do that. And see, the thing is, you're saying that I shouldn't have to give up my stuff to donate to help people, but that these billionaires, because they have more money, should be having to donate more.
I took it out of the real world, man. I'm not making any sort of real world claim.
This is sounding like the trolley problem, man.
Yes, in the real world, it would be a trolley problem. Is it more important to get to Mars or to save the African children? Right, that's a trolley problem. The same token, the situation I presented to you was meant to be taken as simply as the situation. So there was no outside multivariate or external factors that would be clouding the. And
But
so,
can I just say that this is why I like both Randolph's situational ethics that he was bringing up and T-Jump's violation of will. I think those are good starting premises, because when it comes from, well, let's just take Christianity. I find the quote-unquote sacrifice that Jesus does to be disgusting and vile and immoral. I find this God should be hunted down, and I don't quite understand what they mean, because after 3 days of it was a sucky time. It was a sucky time, just like the person to the left of him and just like to the person to the right of him that he was talking to, and the many others that the Roman Empire crucified for state crimes. Just as there are worse ways that Jesus could have died, and more horrible ways, just like ISIS would crucify children upside down. And so after that 3 days of torture, he went on to reign in heaven as king. So it wasn't really a sacrifice. It was just a really bad weekend so that he could rule the universe. And then I don't understand how sacrificial logic works. There's no way that you could kill a guy and then all of a sudden our bad deeds would get off the hook. It doesn't matter how nice the guy is. That's not how morality works.
So again, like I don't doubt your ability to discover a cynical interpretation of the biblical story. I don't doubt your ability to do that. You've just demonstrated it perfectly. What I would encourage you to do is try to find out what the stories are actually trying to convey, instead of just trying to find a way to make it sound as repulsive as humanly possible.
Sure, very specifically, scholars would say that they didn't think that Jesus was going to die, and that doesn't seem to be any recollection that he thought he was going to die. But what happened was a change in a narrative occurred when he, quote unquote, came back from the dead. And so instead of fulfilling the Messiah the one way, he filled the Messiah another way.
Okay, so here's an example of what you're doing, right? So one can look at the United States, for example, and say, well, basically what happened is a bunch of evil white aristocrats who didn't want to pay their taxes came over to the United States to satisfy their economic need and sadistic desire for cruelty, imported millions of black or blacks to work in the fields until they finally were by some guy who lived log cabin to let them go, and then everything traveled. We're sitting here, a state built on tyranny and slavery that should be torn down to its roots. And on the other hand, you can say, well, no, actually, through the right. So like you can make anything sound absolutely terrible by appealing to a certain set of facts, but at the same token, you're also, if someone living in this country would be a hypocrite in saying that because they're living in this country enjoying it as much as they are, right? So it's like,
okay, give me a good version of sacrificial logic. Give me the non-straw man.
So sure, that's easy. So the Jesus story is basically the idea that an individual, it's the ultimate tragedy, I guess, in summary. An individual who is absolutely perfect, literally divine, comes down from heaven, lives a impoverished lifestyle, accrues a set of followers, tempted by the devil, and says, material goods, power, human power, these are not enough for me. What I want to be a Messiah, a savior to the human race. He then is, betrayed, captured, tortured ruthlessly, put on a cross, and then literally has to go to hell, all of which should be punishments for the most terrible people you can imagine. But he does nothing to deserve these things, still goes through them, right? And then upon completing that ultimate tragedy, he ascends to a higher, to divinity. And what that story is trying to convey is that human beings, the proper way to live a life is to take on as much responsibility as one can, no matter if you're responsible for the problems or not. So T-Jump is saying, well, if you're not responsible for killing these people, sorry, am I breaking up really badly here?
You are breaking up, but I also just wanted to pause you for some of those things.
I gotta go. I'll see you guys later.
Bye, T-Jump. Everyone, follow, subscribe.